Okay, it looks like we are live. We are going to be getting this draft going very soon. I am just currently scrambling to making sure that we have everything set up correctly. So please, guys, I know that we were muted for the first like 2 or 3 minutes of our last live stream. Please let me know how the audio sounds right now. I will pull up the chat right now to see what y'all are saying. And yeah, this is going to be really fun. If you are unfamiliar with this channel, maybe you have not seen us done this before, but we run so many Dynasty Fantasy Football leagues over there with everybody a part of the flock on Patreon. And this is going to be our new startup that we are doing over there on the on the flock Patreon. So excited to get this going. And what's weird is we were expecting to have some Julio Jones news today. That has not happened. Maybe it does halfway through this draft. That would be interesting. But it looks like we have a ton of people out here. Okay, people are saying the audio is good. Thank God. I was just getting flashbacks of what happened last time. And this draft is going to get kicked off in 5 minutes. Now, like I said, guys, this is a real money dynasty draft that we host through Patreon. And what you're going to be finding here is so many teams are going to be under the pressure. I mean, this is a live draft. I know a lot of y'all, most likely when you do your dynasty startups, you have about 8 hours on the clock. You can really sit there. You can really think about, oh, do I want to be taking this player? Do I want to be trading the pick? Well, no. 90 seconds. You have 90 seconds to make your decision. Now, we've had the draft order set for a while now, so you're going to find that there have already been a decent amount of trades done in this league. I mean, people have been very active. I actually already traded out of the first round. I didn't expect to be able to trade out of the first round because it was like every other dynasty league where you're just hearing everybody in the league chat going, hey, I want to trade back. 104 is available. 105 is available. 106 is available. So we were sitting at the 111. We got an offer that we liked, so we took it. But yeah, that should be it. JN saying driving to Dallas in about an hour. Have fun, JN, man. Wish you could have came out for this one. I know that you wanted to be a part of this draft. Okay, so JN also out with his other channel. Now, let's see. Mob coming out. Gang, the grind never stops. Let's go. Yes, sir. You know, we are going to continue to be the only channel that uploads a video every single day, 365 days a year. Whether or not that's a live stream or a video, doesn't really matter. We are going to be doing it both. But 4 minutes left until we are live. So if y'all have any questions, please let me know. And of course, if you have not already, drop a like on this live stream. Literally nobody does this. I talk about this all the time, that a lot of people that make YouTube videos, a lot of people that make podcasts, they don't really put their money where their mouth is and play in Dynasty Fantasy Football leagues. A lot of them have only been into Dynasty Fantasy Football for 6 months or so. Well, no, we've been a veteran of the game since 2014. I've been putting pretty much every penny that I've had into Dynasty Fantasy Football, and I'm going to continue to try to crush as many of y'all as I can in these flock leagues. We had an incredible record last year where we only missed the playoffs in one league, and we actually were just one spot out of making the playoffs. We just lost that last matchup that we needed to get in. So I'm excited to continue to crush, and yeah, drop a like because literally nobody is doing this. Okay, so Scott is asking for the league scoring. Okay, man, thank you so much for reminding me. That is going to be very important with how we are attacking this league. So this is going to be a tight end premium superflex league like every single flock dynasty league, where the tight end premium is going to be 1.5 points per reception. And of course, superflex league, everything pretty much standard, 4-point passing touchdown, 1 point per 25 passing yards. Now, the one wrinkle that we have in this league is it's not a traditional start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a superflex, and then the other flex spots. No, you only have to start 1 of every position. 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 super flex, and then flex spots make up the rest of the starting lineup all the way to 11 starting players. So it's a flex heavy format. This is what a lot of the original flock dynasty leagues were back in 2019. So I'm excited to get this going. This is the format that I honestly feel most comfortable with, and I think it's the easiest format to actually go through and win if you know what you're doing. So yeah, I'm excited to get this going, and I will announce that we are going to have another Dynasty Flock Patreon startup draft, most likely going off in 2 weeks. And also another thing that I completely forgot to say in yesterday's video when we were talking about the draft guide, guys, if you have been a supporter of the channel since 2019 over there on Patreon, it doesn't matter what tier. It doesn't matter if it's the $2 tier or the $20 tier. It literally doesn't matter. As long as you were a fan of the channel and you were supporting it on Patreon since 2019, the rookie draft guide is available to you. You don't have to be a part of a certain tier. Just shoot me a DM and I'll get that email to you ASAP. Now, of course, if you want the rookie draft guide, which we've had so many positive reviews with already, you can decide to support the show now, become a mother flocker, and then get that going your way. We are also going to be releasing a 2021 redraft guide that's going to be available for those same people. And I think pretty much all of our draft guides are going to be available through Patreon, just because I really want to focus in on growing that community. But that's it. Let me hop over here and get the screen shared so everybody can figure out what's going on with the trade so far. Okay, so really there have been just 2 or 3 teams making a ton of moves. Now, the one team you're going to be looking at pretty much trading all their picks getting into the first round is going to be Jared Spencer right here. So he has 3 first-round selections, and he did this by moving away his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th-round startup picks, where he has the 107, the 108, and the 111. So he's really going to dictate what's going on at the end of the first round. Outside of that, nothing too crazy. I will go over my trade that I did with Spencer. So we traded away the 111 pretty much to pick up the 205 in a move from the 511 up to the 405. So not necessarily a massive move. We did pick up an extra pick down here in the 14th, but I was just looking at it going, you know what? The player that we're going to be getting at the 111 most likely isn't going to be that different from the 205. Really, the only difference is we're not going to have our preference between the two. So yeah, that was a deal that I felt comfortable making, given the fact that I think the players are going to be in a similar tier range. Now, let's see if we have anything else that we need to cover. Okay, so here you saw Ryan Farr and Mac switch out their first, 2nd round picks. It looks like Mac also got this 4th, where Ryan Farr got the 7th and 8th over here. Okay, so this was a confusing trade. I didn't necessarily look into it too much because I was busy making videos for the channel that comes out tomorrow. But nonetheless, it is 5 o'clock. Let's get this live real money dynasty draft going. And guys, like I said, please, if you have not already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, drop a like on this video. Literally nobody else on YouTube is doing anything close to this, and we do this very often with all the support that we have over there on Patreon. Okay, so now let's check the general chat real quick to see if we have anything else. JN says, give me that motherflocking guy. Join the motherflocker earlier. Yes, sir. I will email that to you right after we get done with this live stream. I promise you, my man. Okay, so Jerry says, rate the trade. It's a big one. Dynasty Superflex. I get Josh Allen, Kyle Pitts, and Michael Pittman. And you're saying, let me slide this over, and Denzel Mims. Trade away Kyler Murray, Michael Thomas, Amari, Rodgers, and Jamal Williams. Am I missing something here? Yeah, okay, no. So essentially, this is, I think we can throw out Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. They're in the same tier. You're pretty much looking at trading away Kyle Pitts, Michael Pittman, and Denzel Mims for Michael Thomas, Amari Rodgers, and Jamal Williams. So here, Denzel Mims, Amari Rodgers, I think they're close enough to take out of the trade as well. And if we do that, you're looking at Kyle Pitts and Michael Pittman for Michael Thomas and Jamal Williams. And I will say that I think if you're talking pure points scored over the next 3 years, I would prefer the Michael Thomas side. But with how crazy the Kyle Pitts evaluations have been so far in Dynasty, I think you may actually want to lean with Kyle Pitts there just for the street value. Okay. So let's see what else. Okay, Hero says, yo, Mason, I'm on the clock in a best ball league trading Mixon for Travis Etienne. Would you give the 205 to make it work? Yes, I would definitely add on the 205 and to Joe Mixon to get Travis Etienne in the Dynasty League, coming from someone who really likes Joe Mixon in redraft formats this upcoming season. But the problem with Joe Mixon is he has only 1 year under contract going forward with guaranteed money. So yeah, take the 3-down running back on the rookie contract. That's what we talk about all the time in Dynasty. I mean, literally, there is nothing more valuable in Dynasty than a running back that plays all 3 downs on his rookie contract. Okay, so it looks like we already have a pick I don't agree with in this draft, and I do want to point something out here that I am wrong all the time, guys. Literally every single day I say something, I am wrong. So please, if you are in the startup draft and I say something you don't agree with, if I make fun of one of your picks, please do not get butthurt, because I understand that I am an idiot. I have a lizard brain, so please don't take me too seriously. But Dalvin Cook at the 103, I cannot get behind this pick. I actually actively hate this pick in a Superflex format just because with Dalvin Cook, you're looking at him as a running back that, yes, projects to be an elite player for 2021. But beyond that, we have to understand that with these running backs that have that workload, these running backs that are no longer on their rookie deals, I mean, the cliff comes soon in Dynasty. So Dalvin Cook at the 103, ahead of Jonathan Taylor, ahead of Saquon Barkley, ahead of a Josh Allen, a Kyler Murray. I can't get behind that selection, even though Dalvin Cook is going to be an elite piece for 2021. But let me real quick grab the link to our Patreon if anybody is interested in joining a Dynasty format with us, if anybody is interested in getting that Dynasty rookie draft guide. Okay, Gus Peterson says just snagged Christian McCaffrey at the 105 in a startup. Man, congrats. Clearly here he goes at the 102. That's something that you should be expecting in the majority of startups that you participate in. I mean, if it's a super flex league at this point, it's pretty much standard that you should be expecting Mahomes go 101, Christian McCaffrey go 102. But it looks like we're having a little bit of a quarterback run here. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert all off the board, pushing Jonathan Taylor down to the 108. Now, this is interesting. What I really want to look at is if we would have kept our pick at the 111, who would we have gotten? I mean, if Saquon Barkley falls here, we may end up just kicking ourselves for trading that pick away. Mike coming out here saying, hey, sorry I'm late. No, man. Thank you so much for coming. Mike, always at the premieres, always during the live streams. Thank you, my dude. Okay, so let's send that link out in the chat. Okay, Anthony says, rate my trade, Mason. Mine was above his. Okay, let me go through and try to find Anthony's previous message. Okay, so you just traded A.J. Dillon for the 202. You have the 201 as well, thinking about getting Rondell Moore and Elijah Moore. So essentially, you traded A.J. Dillon for Elijah Moore. Love that pick, my man. I'm sorry, love that trade, and I really like this pick with Saquon Barkley at the 110. Okay, that saves us a little bit because I would have been very upset if we ended up trading away the 111 before the draft and had the option to take Saquon Barkley. Okay, so good thing that didn't happen. Let's see where Jared decides to go here. Jared ended up in the first round going with Justin Herbert, and also where else was he on the screen? Okay, so where is Jared right now? Okay, he went Justin Herbert and Jonathan Taylor. Okay, so let's see where his third player is right now. So then he goes with Cam Akers at the 111. Okay, so if we pull up this board just to see who we're going to be looking at, y'all know how I play by now. We're essentially going to be looking at, actually, I guess we could also look at tight end with the tight end premium, but I was mainly thinking running back or quarterback, but we will try to evaluate that when we get up at the 205. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow go off the board there at the 112, the 201. Now, that's an extremely high floor play. I mean, very rarely are you going to be kicking yourself for going with those back-to-back quarterbacks that we know are so insulated in value, where it's almost impossible for them to crash and not be worth, at the very minimum, a third-round startup pick next offseason. So, yeah, I mean, you get two cornerstone assets to build your team around there at the 112, the 201. But actually, no, we are up on the clock right now. Oh, I was not even noticing that. I was thinking that we were having to wait till the 205. Okay, so there are a couple players that I'd be looking at here, but what we will say is we're up at the 205 again, so we can't say all their names out loud. Now, I know the player that everybody's going to be screaming at us to draft, and that's going to be Alvin Kamara. I understand that, guys. I understand that everybody here wants me to go Alvin Kamara, but like I said, I just personally have a very hard time going with running backs that are already off their rookie deals this early in a startup, even though I know a lot of people are going to be telling me I'm stupid. So what I think I do, given the fact that there are a few running backs available on the board that we still like, and really there are only two quarterbacks, I think we just go with the position that's closer to having that teardrop coming soon. And I think we take Russell Wilson here at the 202, and let's see what falls to us at the 205. Okay. So Dom Cost coming out says snag Kamara. Yes, guys, I understand a lot of people are going to want us to go with Alvin Kamara here, and I expect him to most likely go with one of these two next picks. But the thing with Alvin Kamara is simply I do not see the insulated value. I mean, you're looking at a very similar situation with what you had with Ezekiel Elliott this past year, in that, yes, most likely Alvin Kamara is going to maintain his elite status at the running back position. But if you're comparing him to a Russell Wilson with their insulated dynasty value, worst case scenarios, say you do have the regression come from Alvin Kamara that you saw with Taysom Hill starting at quarterback last year when you did not have Drew Brees. In that case, you can easily see Alvin Kamara falling to be a 5th round startup pick next year, as crazy as that sounds, because I understand he does have the upside to finish as the #1 player in fantasy. Where with Russell Wilson, it's just a pick that is much more insulated in that it does not matter how bad of a season, how bad of an injury that he suffers. I mean, it would be nearly impossible for him to fall outside of the top 3 rounds of dynasty startup drafts next season, given the fact that pretty much every year for the past 9 years, he's finished as a top 10 quarterback, and this is a super flex format. So yeah, we are going to be going with Wilson there. Now, Deandre Swift, someone who's been getting so much hate lately all over social media, going at the 203. I like the pick of Swift, man. Buying the discount, buying that running back that profiles to be in Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones. And I'm tired of saying it. I'm tired of y'all hearing it. But someone that's going to be getting every valuable touch in their offense, getting the receptions, getting the usage at the goal line, and he is still on that rookie deal, so I do like that. Now, you do have Alvin Kamara going here. Okay, so we're going to be looking at 2 players. Essentially, I would really like to go with the Najee Harris here for our team build, so we didn't have to worry about running back later on in the draft, but I can't do it. I know this is going to be seen as a reach by most. I personally do not care, especially with the starting lineup requirements. So yes, feel free to roast me in the comment section. Tell me why this is such a bad pick, but I'm making it regardless. We are going Trey Lance here at the 205. Now, I could not be more excited about this selection. This is someone that has an elite floor with what he is going to have in his points per game, given his rushing output and what you've seen historically from quarterbacks that had that rushing production in college, get drafted in the 1st round of the NFL draft, come out, they have a very high floor in the points they're going to be scoring in the games that they are starting. What you're worried about in the case of a guy like Jalen Hurts is he doesn't have the team investment. He doesn't have the guarantee that he is going to have that job security over the next 3-4 years. Well, Trey Lance, if you look historically with quarterbacks that have been drafted in the top 3, if you also add on the fact that San Francisco really doesn't have any 1st-round picks over the next few years, he's guaranteed to start the next 4 years. Historically, even if he's as bad as Trubisky, even if he's as bad as Darnold, even if he's as bad as Bortles, those quarterbacks all got 4 years at the very minimum to start for their offenses. And if you're expecting your quarterback to average 45, 50 rushing yards a game, if that case, then his floor is so high with the points he's going to be scoring, even if he's a bad real-life NFL quarterback. We are playing fantasy here. We are not building real-life NFL teams. Okay, so I know a lot of people are going to hate that pick, but honestly, I don't care. We are going to be starting our team with 2 cornerstone assets, 2 guys that I perceive to have elite floor and ceiling combinations in Trey Lance and Russell Wilson. I do really like this Najee Harris pick here at the 206. Now, of course, I will reveal a little bit more about my strategy with these league formats once we get to the 5th, 6th round. I just don't want to be giving that information out right now when we still have so much to go. Okay, G. Golly says, doubt he plays early half of the season. Okay, here, 2 things. A, this is Dynasty with Trey Lance. And B, please look at quarterbacks that have been drafted in the top 5 over the past 10 years and tell me on average how many games they sit their rookie year. Please go do that for me, because I promise you it's going to be a lot less than you think. Okay, so yeah, Matthew says, love that start, especially with the teardrop after Lance. Yeah, that's a big thing here, is just the teardrop after Lance, because I know a lot of people are going to be going, Mason, Justin Fields, but no, Justin Fields is not in the same tier. I hate to say it. I hate to continue to talk about the same thing over and over again, but we have to bring it up. Okay, so really, outside of the Dalvin Cook pick, I do not see a single pick that I have a problem with so far in this draft. Now, I know a lot of people are going to have a problem with my own picks, but like I said, I'm not worried about that. But let me know if there are any picks that stand out to you. It looks like we have a little bit of a wide receiver run happening right now. Let me see what running backs are still available in terms of the guys that you think you can build a team around. You got guys like J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Etienne, all running backs on their rookie deals. It will be interesting to see if any of them make it back to us. But, okay, this is definitely something worthy of pointing out. You have wide receivers going in this startup draft earlier than they have gone in any of the other drafts, and I think that's something to do with the league settings. I think that's something to do with only having to start one running back every single week. I'm not going to say if I agree with it or not, but it is something that is noteworthy. Now, Dobbins going at the 211. What's so weird about J.K. Dobbins is if you're looking at redraft leagues right now, I mean, he is a clear tier. I mean, he is a massive drop behind some of these other players like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like an Antonio Gibson, with what those high-stakes redraft players are doing. So I think maybe at this point, we have to say that J.K. Dobbins may be a little bit overvalued if he is going over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because if you're seeing every single redraft league take Clyde Edwards-Helaire and it's not even close to Dobbins, and we know that they are just about the exact same age, and throw on the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire actually has that 5th-team option because he was a first-round pick last year, I think maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire is an easy pick over Dobbins at this point, even though I would have made the argument at the beginning of this season, before we saw some adjustments to the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs, that wouldn't be my take. Okay. So Nash's Cash coming out says Mason got Russ and young Russ. Yes, sir. We got Russell Wilson and young Russ. I'm excited about this build, especially once we get through the 4th round, because we are about to get 3 picks on this turn here, and that's what we got from trading back from this 111 to the 205. So I do want to track what that trade ended up being once we go through the 4th round, because essentially if you take out the extra picks that were thrown in, this trade was the 111, the 205 for the 505 and the 510. I'm sorry. I just completely butchered that. I traded essentially the 111 and the 511 for the 205 and the 405. We got some extra picks on top, but don't really want to focus in on those because they were so late. I mainly just want to see the swap there because, like I said, I mean, Akers, Lance, really no difference to me at all in Dynasty, so I'm completely fine with that. But we have some Chiefs going off the board. We have our first tight end going into Travis Kelce. So really like to see this start so far. What I would have loved from Benny is if he would have gone with Clyde Edwards-Helaire here at the 212 and given him the trifecta for the Kansas City Chiefs and really soak up every single touchdown in that offense, the most high-powered offense in the entire NFL. So I like the start stacking Mahomes with Kelce, but I would have gone all in. I would have taken CEH as well. Maybe at that point you're getting some negative correlation and taking away from Kelce and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but please let me know what y'all think about that. And also, we just passed 50 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like. It definitely makes a difference on this channel, and this is why we continue to grow faster than any other Dynasty Fantasy Football channel on YouTube, and it's honestly not even close. So it looks like what we have here at the 103 is we have a team that is going full on win now. And once you take Dalvin Cook at the 103, like I said, I don't like the pick, but I agree that once you make that investment, you better be pushing to have a contending team right away. Because the last thing you can do after you take Dalvin Cook at the 103 is take some young prospects, a guy like a J.K. Dobbins after that. That build wouldn't really make sense. But if you're starting to get some producers that should be elite this upcoming season, I think at that point you put yourself in a nice position to take it down right away. Okay, so Darnold coming out says, should I be trying to get rid of Michael Carter Jr.? Man, for tomorrow's video, I just recorded it, and what we actually covered is we talked about rookies that I have not drafted in a single league, and we play in so many Dynasty leagues. Michael Carter Jr. made that list. So my answer is yes, I would be selling Michael Carter Jr. I'm viewing him as a Devin Singletary type player. And yes, he's in a great situation, but he has no team investment. He is undersized. He does not have elite athleticism. Really, all he has going for his profile is his receiving down capability, which should give him a decent floor in fantasy. I just don't think he really has any upside to ever reach the top 12 mark. And we know that's where the league winners come from. Okay, so Caleb takes DK Metcalf here at the 305. Okay, so there are about 2 or 3 players that if they fell to us here at the 311, I would be jumping up and down. But I'm obviously not going to say their names. But please, please, oh Lordy, and I promise you, if this was actually a slow draft and we had enough time to go through and make trade offers, at that point, I probably would be trying to trade up to the 306, the 307, the 308. I'd be trying to make a move like that. But of course, this is a fast draft, so we're not going to have time to kind of put it on pause and go make a swap. Matthew saying, how is Antonio Gibson still available? I don't know, man. I really don't want to commentate on anything so far because we have so many picks upcoming here that I think we would rather just refrain from saying much at all. Okay, so let's see. Let's try to predict where these teams are going to go. Okay, so QB, wide receiver, really could be looking at a running back. Then here, Victor has only taken Najee Harris, but he does have back-to-back picks after that. Oh my God, Victor, don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. Now, Jared, no picks. Donda has one pick before us. Ben, one pick before us. Okay, so really we got to worry about Victor. And I am worried about Victor just going through and getting two of the guys that we want. Come on. Okay, please, guys, if y'all have a guess on who you think that I'm going to be looking for with this 311 pick, please spam it in the chat right now. Oh, God. George Kittle at the 307. I wanted Kittle so badly to get that Trey Lance stack. That would have been perfect. Victor, I literally, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I hate that so much. George Kittle was our guy. I was really praying that George Kittle was going to fall to us. That would have been a perfect start, getting that elite tight end in a tight end premium format once you have Trey Lance to get that built-in correlation over the next 3 seasons. Nice pick, my man, but it really, really pissed me off. Yeah, Robert was guessing that we were going to be going with George Kittle. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was going to be our guy. That does upset me. I'll be the first one to admit that. Okay, so we also need to be tracking what's going to be going on between our 311 pick because that will be making an impact on what we are going to be taking here. Okay, so he double taps Kittle and Pitts. I'm going to refrain from any Pitts talk just because, I mean, if Julio Jones does get traded, I'm going to be looking very stupid with the price rise of Kyle Pitts with what we've said about him this offseason and already being valued in Dynasty. Aaron Law saying, I'm so late. No, man, better late than ever. I'm happy to have you out here, my man. Okay, Jaws saying, get Kyle Pitts if you wanted George Kittle. It wasn't that simple. I mainly wanted I mainly wanted George Kittle, not only because George Kittle is my #1 tight end in Dynasty, but also we are going to get the stack. I mean, there's so much going into that. Okay, so I want to see what Mac has so far. Okay, so he does have 2 quarterbacks. Ryan has 1 quarterback and a... This is interesting. This is interesting. I think we may surprise some people with this next pick. Actually, we're not going to go off the board. Adam saying, just tuned in. What did I miss? You missed Victor putting me on full tilt by taking George Kittle with the 307. Okay, Hopkins at the 309. I wasn't looking for Hopkins, so I am happy to see that pick go off the board. And this draft has been very balanced. It looks like we really don't have any runs going on right now. I mean, we haven't had a quarterback go off the board since I took Trey Lance at the 205. Looks like running backs have been sporadic as well as wide receivers. I mean, this is interesting because what you're finding with most Dynasty startups this offseason is you're finding, hey, you're going to see 8 running backs go in a row. Then you're going to see 6 quarterbacks. Then you're going to see 2 rounds of wide receivers. So it's actually nice seeing a little bit of this mix here. Okay, so we do have that run of all the elite tight ends going off the board. So we are put in kind of a difficult spot here, but since we already got 2 of our guys, and I'm really trying to advocate for y'all to not necessarily just take, quote unquote, the player that you think has the most value, because that's what I used to do earlier in my career when I played a ton of Dynasty leagues. But at this point, I think I am more confident with my player evaluation than I've ever been, maybe just because I wake up at 8 a.m. I wake up at 6 a.m., get to my desk at 8 a.m. after we work out, and literally just research fantasy football for 12 hours a day. But I'm going to be not completely going off the board, but I'm going to be sticking more so to my evaluations rather than looking at anything with ADP or common knowledge. So because of that, we are going to be going with Travis Etienne at 311, getting our guys, getting a running back that projects to be a 3-down player on his rookie contract. Very happy to see that. Of course, you're going to have Antonio Gibson going right after, and I promise you, nobody was higher on Antonio Gibson than I was last offseason. But Travis Etienne is a different player. Travis Etienne's going to be in a better offense. I am completely fine going with Travis Etienne at the 311. Now, this next pick is going to be a little bit harder, though. Matthew saying, please no Travis Etienne. Yes, sir. You know I was going Travis Etienne. I know y'all don't want to see it. And now, see, I can't even really say where we're going to go at this point because we are about to be up again. But what I will say is there's no tight ends I'm really looking at here. At running back, I mean, best available is not going to stand out either. So essentially, you're going to be looking at two positions, at least in my opinion. You're going to be looking at the wide receiver position as well as the quarterback. And I don't want to do it because I'm lower on him than consensus, but I think with his trade value and with how we haven't gotten him in that many spots, and more importantly, because Donda and Ben, neither of them have a quarterback so far on this team. Actually, Donda has one. Ben does not have one. So I think both of these teams would be looking to take quarterback if we pass here. And keep in mind, we are up at the 405 as well. So I think we go with the player that we think has the most trade value, and we can make a flip after the draft if we need to. If not, we're going to need someone to most likely start the beginning of the season regardless. So do we go Justin Fields here? That's the question. I think we do it. We have Trey Lance already. This is the 4th round. Y'all know I have said Justin Fields is way overrated whenever he is going ahead of Trey Lance. But when we're getting him at this kind of discount, knowing that one of these two teams behind us is most likely going to go QB, I think we just take it, and then we can go through and we can get a wide receiver at the 405. But right now, our start is Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Travis Etienne. I am very happy about that. Okay, so looks like everybody was spamming the chat that they wanted us to go with CeeDee Lamb. Guys, if we were talking purely best player available and I didn't pick for another round, we most likely would have gone with CeeDee Lamb. Y'all know I am all in on CeeDee Lamb. But the thing is, if you look at these teams between our two picks, I mean, definitely if we passed on Justin Fields, then we're going to go there. And here, they're either going to be going with Lamb, Chase, Terry McLaurin. They can go with the Deshaun Watson. Maybe one of them wants a running back. Maybe one of them wants Mark Andrews. I doubt Mark Andrews, though. But essentially, it was either take Justin Fields there and let whatever wide receiver falls to us at the 405 fall, or take our wide receiver and not even have the option at Justin Fields. And trust me, guys, y'all know I've literally made videos. I've explained for 20 minutes why I think Justin Fields is overvalued in rookie drafts when he's going ahead of Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, and Trey Lance. But, I mean, if we're going to get him at the beginning of the 4th round, we are fine with that. Now, Ben does decide to go with CeeDee Lamb. Okay, so we obviously hate to see that. Now, what I don't want to do is Okay, so there are a few wide receivers here that I value higher than Jamar Chase, but with the build, with us being so young, I'm unsure if we're going to have any other option. Maybe we go Watson. And I know it's so crazy to walk away with 4 quarterbacks at the beginning, but I think we possibly go Deshaun Watson here, given the fact that we know that next offseason, he should have more trade value than pretty much anyone else we're looking at. So actually, we're not going to do it. I'm not going to be working through all those trades. I say we just go back to the wide receiver position. It does suck that CeeDee Lamb goes off the board. But at this point, I think that we are probably fine going with the DJ Moore. It's either going to be between DJ Moore, Michael Thomas, or Terry McLaurin here for me. What's sad is we don't really have any options to go through and stack with. DK Metcalf is off. I mean, maybe we could take a Brandon Ayuk, but Brandon Ayuk just isn't in the same tier of a player as a DJ Moore for me, with DJ Moore's age-adjusted production with what we've had through his first 2 years in the NFL career. So I know Terry McLaurin has been better than DJ Moore, but I think we go DJ Moore. DJ Moore is another one of my guys. He's still extremely young. We already have a young build to start with. So I'm going to take DJ Moore, then check who the chat wanted us to take. Okay, so let's go through and looks like nobody really had a massive opinion on where we were going to go. So someone was guessing Amari Cooper. Guys, I would have loved to go with Michael Thomas in round 4, but the problem is when you start the draft with Trey Lance, Travis Etienne, and Justin Fields, I mean, I can't be taking a veteran like Michael Thomas. I mean, it just doesn't fit the build. If we get those veterans that can provide us production right away later on in the draft at a massive discount, then we're fine doing so. But no, when we're building the core of our team, when we start so young with these 2021 rookies, I think we have to continue with that young approach, and we have to continue building out that long-term value. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people wanted us to go with Deshaun Watson. I probably should have gone with Deshaun Watson, guys, to be honest. I probably shouldn't have chickened out, but it is what it is. It is what it is. G Golly says, too many wide receivers on the Panthers right now. He's not even top 24. Man, if you're talking about the wide receivers on the Panthers, I mean, you have DJ Moore, obviously the alpha wide receiver 1. You have Curtis Samuel leaving so many touches behind in the offense where Terrace Marshall coming in isn't going to be able to soak up everything that Curtis Samuel left behind year 1. Now you throw in the fact that Robbie Anderson only has 1 year left on this deal, and you look at how everything's structured out, and you go, hey, okay, most likely they drafted Terrace Marshall to help slightly when no Curtis Samuel was here in 2021, but more importantly, to just go through and replace Robbie Anderson in 2022. So I don't think that it's a value. I mean, I don't think it's a point worth looking at saying that there are too many wide receivers in Carolina when I think he's in a very similar situation to what he was last year. Jordan saying, I got Deshaun Watson at the 706 a month ago in a Superflex startup. Man, that is absolutely crazy. Congrats on that, my man. I promise you there is no way you're going to see Deshaun Watson make it out of the 4th round in this one. At least I would be surprised. Okay, Adam saying Ayuk on the snake back. Yeah, getting that stack. Yeah, I would have liked to get Brandon Ayuk, but just the problem is when you're drafting Trey Lance, you're kind of betting on him going through and being that elite rushing quarterback. So it's a little bit less important to stack with a quarterback like Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Russell Wilson because they are going to be providing you with that rushing production, where a big part of the reason you're stacking with the quarterbacks that are more so pocket passers, a quarterback like a Joe Burrow, is you're going, hey, if Joe Burrow beats his ADP, if he returns investment on what I spent into him, most likely that's going to be done with him going through and having a nuclear season, throwing for 45 passing touchdowns and just dropping the hammer and leading the NFL in passing yards. So of course you're going to want his wide receivers there. But if we draft Trey Lance here and he finishes as a top 3 quarterback in fantasy, maybe that was done off the fact that he was able to pick up 50 rushing yards a game. So at that point, it doesn't necessarily help out the wide receivers as much. So I think when you're drafting a Jalen Hurts, when you're drafting a Lamar Jackson, a Trey Lance, it's still important to stack. It's simply not as crucial as when you're taking those guys that are pure pocket passers. Now, Imrod coming out. Let's see where he decides to go. I do really like the start that he's had so far in getting 3 elite running backs in CMC, J.K. Dobbins, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, let's see where he goes at the 411. Imrod actually took over our last spot in this last night where we had the league full and all, and then someone shot me a DM, said, hey, Mason, I'm sorry, I can't make the draft time tomorrow. So I was like, hey, no problem. Here are your dues. Let's just refund you. And then I posted something over there on Patreon saying, hey, we got 1 spot open for our draft tomorrow, and we approximately got maybe 15 DMs in the first 30 seconds that post was up, and Imrod was the first one to get it in, so he takes this last spot. Okay, Miles Sanders, so he is still going running back. That is going to be very interesting. I'll say I would like this strategy a lot if it was a points per carry league, if this was a league where you had to start 2 or 3 guys. Now, in a league where you only have to start 1 running back, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. You're pretty much betting on not using them as trade assets, more so just getting the raw points in your flex spots, which can work out if these running backs hit their 80th percentile outcome. Okay. Jordan saying, how long can Mixon and Eckler return running back value in your opinion? Can you define what you mean by that? Are you talking about like my median projection on how long they will be impact players in fantasy, or their ceiling for how long can they do it if everything breaks right, or worst case scenario? But just please let me know exactly what you mean by that. Okay, so now let's go through and see if we have anything else. Jared says, how do you feel about my draft so far? Did I make bad trades? Okay, so Jared ended up going Herbert, Taylor, and Akers. So he is going to be back up in the 5th. Then, okay, so it looks like after the 5th, he has a normal draft. So, Jared, I think it's a little too early to tell right now. I'll say that it's kind of hard. What I want to do, Jared, especially with how many trades you've made, I would rather wait until we get to the end of the draft. Then you can go through and you can plug in names to those trade picks that you did at the beginning. And that's how you can accurately weigh out what side of this would I've actually rather had. I mean, whenever you trade up to get 3 first-round picks, usually it's going to be at a massive price. But Benny coming out with a very strong team for 2021. I think Benny is actually going to be the favorite for 2021 with Henry, Mixon as his 2 running backs, Allen Robinson as his wide receiver 1, Kelsey and Mahomes. I mean, it's hard to beat that start. It looks like we have over 200 people on the live stream. Guys, if y'all go down, drop 100 likes on the stream. I don't know what I'll do, but drop some suggestions in the chat. Get us over 100 likes on the live stream. Literally nobody does stuff like this. This is a real Dynasty startup draft. This is not a mock draft. These are with everybody over there supporting the channel on Patreon. So please drop a like, and I'm going to continue to try to do this very, very often. Okay, Matthew says, not going to lie, I hate Imrod's start. Big reach on Dobbins. And Dobbins, I don't think that's necessarily a reach in Dynasty. I understand that in redraft currently is going way behind this. You could make the argument that you would prefer having an Antonio Gibson ahead of him. But I think when you're taking a running back in this range and you're going to pair him with a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think it's smart to get a guy that is on his rookie contract. But like I said, I mean, with Dobbins, it is very interesting to see how much lower the redraft community is on him compared to the Dynasty community. And you're saying in going running back heavy only makes sense if you're in win now mode. Much better win now teams here. I will agree with that. I think that it's a little too early to tell with the wide receiver value that he may be able to get later on, but we will definitely go through and revisit that. Okay. So Aaron's saying, I would rather have Joe Mixon than Miles Sanders. Joe Mixon, definitely a much better 2021 asset. I would say for Dynasty, it's a little bit harder to say as you have Miles Sanders from that 2019 class still under his rookie deal, and you have Joe Mixon way back from 2017, currently on his veteran contract, and he actually only has guaranteed money for 2021 if you pull up the contract details. But Michael Thomas at the 504, given the format, I really like that value pick of Michael Thomas at the 504. Keenan Allen at the 505. Let's see if any of these are completing stacks. Okay, so it looks like most likely Victor would have been looking at Keenan Allen at the 505. Terry McLaurin at the 506. I mean, these are some great value wide receivers. Where did you have Deshaun Watson go? You had Watson ending up going at the 408. So it looks like we're not going to have a pick here at the 511. We did end up trading that to get up and get DJ Moore at the 405. So in reality, it looks like this 405 pick in the 511 was really not a massive difference at all. I probably overrated how big of a difference that was going to be, and that there were still some of those wide receivers that we could have been considering in that range. So that is something I want to note going forward, that getting that perceived full round bump up in value really isn't that valuable at all. Okay, Griffin says giving Godwin for Etienne and late Forts. I don't know what that means. Man, I would rather have Travis Etienne over Chris Godwin in Dynasty. Just simply. I mean, Chris Godwin's still available on this draft board. I took Travis Etienne back at the end of the 3rd round. And if anybody's coming in right now, I will give you a quick recap on our team. At the quarterback position, we got Wilson, Lance, and Justin Fields. We have Travis Etienne at running back and DJ Moore at wide receiver. Now, that DJ Moore pick probably could have gone a few different directions, but it is what it is at this point. And Tua Tagovailoa going off at the 507. Really like that value by Victor. I think Victor may have my favorite team so far. If he would have gone with a Darren Waller here instead of a Kyle Pitts, or if he would have gone with the Travis Etienne, what I really thought Victor was going to do is I really thought we were going to expect him to go Najee Harris here and then tap Kittle and Travis Etienne rather than Kyle Pitts. But regardless, I do like the start. Okay, Samuel says, which rookie would you rather pick up, a Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith? First thing is, we have all our official rookie rankings posted over there on Patreon, and there you will find that we do have Devonta Smith ranked higher than Jalen Waddle. They are all in that wide receiver 2 tier. And also, guys, if you have not heard for whatever reason, we do have our 2021 in-depth rookie draft guide, metrics with context, currently available. It's available for all those people over there supporting the show on Patreon with that Motherflocker tier, or anybody supporting the show since 2019. Now, of course, those same people are also going to have access to our 2021 fantasy redraft guide. And the reports on that, I will be completely honest, I was very worried to hear back from y'all just because I've never written one of those before, and I put so much work into it that if y'all told me it was trash, I was probably going to have to cry myself to sleep tonight. But no, we have had so many positive reviews from people who have already gone through and read the 100+ pages from that guide. Okay, so Javonte Williams, the 508. Yeah, Victor has killed this draft. Victor, in my opinion, has the best draft so far. Trading out of the first, but really not missing out on too much value. Obviously, you can nitpick the Kyle Pitts selection as well as the Aaron Rodgers. But, I mean, Najee Harris by far and away the best player on the board here. George Kittle by far and away the best player on the board. You can say the same thing about Tua. You can make the argument with Javonte Williams. I really like that start. Okay, so now let's see. Let's try to guess. Okay, how did you pick up an extra 5th? Okay, so here by switching around some picks in the 7th and the 8th. Okay, Mike says, is there a way to join this draft on Sleeper or just to watch? No, this is actually a real Dynasty draft. This is not a mock draft. Now, we are going to be doing more of these real Dynasty drafts over there on Patreon, like we have said a million times by now. I'm sure I'm annoying y'all, so I'm going to shut my mouth. But yes, we are going to be doing all that over there on Patreon. Self-made coming out says, speaking of trash, Tua is trash. Man, Tua may be trash, but at this point, I mean, when you're looking at what the Miami Dolphins are doing around him by trading up for Jalen Waddle, by already having Devontae Parker, by actually signing some more speed in Will Fuller, I am very excited about what the Miami Dolphins are doing for Jalen Waddle. For Tua, and they also have just a ton of flexibility with their roster going forward. But Ryan Tannehill and Zach Wilson going off the board here. What we should have done is we should have waited to get quarterbacks in this range. That is 100% on me because these QBs are fantastic values, especially if Julio is indeed traded to Tennessee. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is going to look like a complete smash there at the 5'10". And of course, you have Ben, Texas A&M alum, taking Ryan Tannehill, former Texas A&M wide receiver. Jordan saying we went over 100 likes in the live stream. Let me pull that up. Yes, sir. We went over 100 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much, guys, for everybody who went down there and smashed that like. We are going to be streaming until 7 p.m. Central, so 8 p.m. Eastern tonight with this live mock draft. After the 2 hours of streaming this live mock draft, we will be switching over and making it a slow draft. But let me stop talking. We are going to be up on the clock in one pick, so we better have someone that we are going to be looking at. Okay, so QB, there are a few guys, but the problem is we already have 3 players. Running back, honestly, not too interested. Wide receiver, there are a few names that stand out. Tight end, you can say the same thing. So please, Ryan, don't take our guy. Don't take our guy. Okay. So, yeah, people in the chat agreeing massive value on Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, I mean, especially if Julio Jones gets traded there. Baker Mayfield at the 601. Okay, so we were talking about wanting to get that stack with Trey Lance, with Brandon Ayuk earlier, way back in the 4th. Looks like we are going to be getting that now in the 6th. You could make the argument to have Evans, Cooper, Higgins all over Brandon Ayuk, and I'm fine if you want to make that argument. But essentially, if you're talking about the team build here, I would prefer just going ahead and getting the stack into the starting lineup with Trey Lance and Brandon Ayuk. I'm very happy that he fell back to us in the 6th round. So now our start is Wilson, Lance, Justin Fields. Then you have DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver, Travis Etienne at running back. Very happy about that. Okay. So let's go through and, yeah, I mean, regardless what your opinion on the talent profile of Tua Tagovailoa is, nobody can deny the fact that the Miami Dolphins have been extremely impressive over the past few off seasons and what they have done to set up Tua for success. And you also can't ignore the fact that he was severely injured going into the year. When he had that injury his final season at Alabama, a lot of people said he wasn't going to be able to play football at all in 2020, yet he kind of rushes it back early. He's not in really a position to succeed. He has a slow rookie rookie season, and now so many people are off of him. And please keep in mind, I did not draft Tua in a single rookie draft last year. I do not have Tua in any dynasty league unless I drafted him this offseason or I went out and traded for him at a discount. So this is not coming from someone who was drafting Tua earlier in startup drafts last year. This is more so coming from someone that went, you know what? Instead of drafting the injured quarterback, I would much prefer just waiting around, seeing if he is going to see that dip in value, which we've actually had, and then trading for him then, understanding that the injury was most likely going to start him slow. Okay, so Adam says, where's that first round pick going to land? 12 or 10 team league? Okay, okay, so a bunch of people asking, why is stacking good? Oh my God, we try to explain this every live stream, but essentially when you stack, you build in correlation into your starting lineup. And I understand a lot of people are afraid to have that correlation, given the fact if Trey Lance fails, most likely we're going to have Brandon Ayuk failing as well. But the easiest way I can explain stacking is the fact that only 1 out of 12 teams in every dynasty league is going to win. And when you understand only 1 out of 12 teams are going to win your dynasty league, everything you are doing is to maximize your upside. You are not worried about your floor. If your floor falls out from under you, okay, it's dynasty. You get the 101 rookie pick, then you can go through and rebuild. But what you want to be doing is you want to be maximizing that upside. So when you build in that correlation, if our bet with Trey Lance at the 205 hits, it's essentially like a parlay. Then all of a sudden, you can bet that most likely the bet that we made with the Brandon Ayuk pick at the 602, that is going to hit as well, which should catapult us up in the potential points rankings for the league. And I really hope I explained that well. I wish this was Twitch so someone could clip that and I would not have to explain stacking anymore. But please, guys, do not be afraid of stacking. What you need to be afraid of is handcuffing, and instead you want to be chasing those stacks. Okay, so let's go through and yeah, Mike explained it simply. Awesome. Hayden said, cheers. Thanks for the explanation. No, man, thank you so much for coming out to the live stream. So much for supporting the channel. I mean, over 100 likes on the stream. I'll pretty much do anything y'all want. Okay, Harrison saying, is stacking as valuable in redraft? Yes, sir. Same thing in redraft. 1 out of 12 teams win. Same thing in DFS, especially if you're playing in large field tournaments. Everything you need to be doing in fantasy is to maximize your upside. The easiest way to spot a beginner at fantasy are the guys that are worried about chasing upside, the guys that are taking the quote-unquote safe route and drafting Ezekiel Elliott in the first round, then drafting Tony Pollard in the 5th and getting their defense in the 7th just so they know what they can expect. No, embrace the volatility, go through and try to chase that upside. Okay. Now, I will say Ben has had a fantastic startup draft so far. Love Barkley in the 1st, like Swift in the 2nd, love Waller in the 3rd, Lamb in the 4th, Tannehill in the 5th, but Josh Jacobs in the 6th. What are you doing here, my dude? Now, if this was a format where you had to start 2 running backs, you had to start 3 running backs, then sure, I'm fine. Josh Jacobs somewhere near this range, but no, I can't get behind it. Okay. But right here, we are dogging on this Dalvin Cook pick here with the 103. And I think we just figured out why Dalvin Cook went at the 103. It's because what you have here from Fix is he is trying to throw everybody off by using the Cardinals logo. But simply, he is a Minnesota Vikings fan. There's no other explanation for taking Irv Smith Jr. in the 6th round. Can't get behind it. Mike saying Josh Jacobs fall, or is this what we expect nowadays? To be honest, I wouldn't have considered Josh Jacobs anywhere near here. I would have preferred Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, Noah Fant, T. Higgins, Chase Claypool. And a lot of this speaks to the fact that you only have to start 1 running back in this league, so you're pretty much just chasing points. But if you go over to our main fantasy football channel, I actually uploaded a video today where I explained why I think the Josh Jacobs selection is so bad. But yeah, I mean, Jacobs, you're just looking at him as a committee running back that is not going to be getting the valuable touches in the committee. Kenyon Drake crushed every other running back in NFL free agency outside of Aaron Jones with the guaranteed money that he got at signing. And if Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington have been taking touches away from Josh Jacobs over the past few years, you can bet when they give a player that massive contract, they're most likely going to be planning on doing the same thing with them. Okay, Vizvish coming out says, "Hey Mason, hope you're doing good. How do you feel about DJ Moore for Dynasty?" Man, no, thank you so much for coming out to the stream. And clearly, I'm very high on DJ Moore for Dynasty. We ended up taking him here with the 405. A lot of that was based on the build that we had, understanding that we needed a player that projected well in the long term. But no, here, when you're looking at a guy like DJ Moore, I mean, if you look at the first 2 years of his NFL career, I know last year was a little bit of a dip, but this is a player that has just a historic age-adjusted production curve where his floor, unless he is Juju Smith-Schuster and decides to become a TikTok star, is going to be very high down the road. But it looks like we actually have a lot of teams going win now, right now, with Benny doubling up on Tom Brady and Julio Jones. So in my opinion, these players were not the best players on the board, but if you're going win now and you're picking at the end, really you don't have many options. And here I know a lot of people are going to be looking at Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods as a reach by Imrod, but you have to point out that he has Matthew Stafford in the 5th. So while I don't like the value you got on Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods in the 7th is a complete smash in my opinion. And I do like getting that double stack in there with Matthew Stafford because what we talked about with stacking earlier is it's less important with those rushing quarterbacks and a Trey Lance, a Jalen Hurts, a guy like Lamar Jackson, but with the guys that you know are going to be pocket passers, and if you're drafting them, you're hoping for 40, 45 passing touchdowns, a guy like Matthew Stafford, you better make sure you're getting those stacks. Dave coming out saying that he is grossed out by Justin Fields, and I know I'm going to have to explain myself a lot when we do this. Let me remind everyone why we decided to take Justin Fields in the 4th. Essentially, we were looking at Ben right here in Donda, and we are going, they are most likely going to be taking a quarterback if we do not go with Justin Fields. So we had this pick at the 402, and we had the 405 right here. So I assume that we are going to be able to take Fields at the 402 and then get one of our wide receivers we wanted in either CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase falling to us at the 405. It did not happen, so we ended up going with DJ Moore, but that was the thought process behind that. Okay, so our next question, how do you feel about having T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd on the same Dynasty team? That's what I ended up with. Okay, so here, if you're talking about T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd on the same Dynasty team, it's kind of hard to say that many things with it. We understand that Cincinnati is running an insane amount of 3 wide receiver sets. So essentially when you're rostering both of those wide receivers, it's more so a bet against Jamar Chase, or you're betting that Joe Burrow is just going to be the MVP of the league and be able to go out and be a Jameis Winston with his passing volume from 2019. So I'll say, I know y'all are probably so tired of me talking about stacking, but it's so important with those pocket passing quarterbacks. And if you already have 2 wide receivers in the main core on a team, you are already putting so many of your eggs in that offensive basket. I would like to have the quarterback at the same time. So I don't love it, don't really hate it, but I think if you do have that already, and I know I'm being annoying, but I would want to go out there and get Joe Burrow. Dave wanting us to draft Trey Sermon here at the 7-11. To be honest, I am not going to be considering Trey Sermon given the fact that we only need to start one running back. But let me go through and okay. Oh, that was concerning for a second. It looked like Sleeper kind of messed up on the list and did not load half of it. That would have been very bad. But yeah, no, Trey Sermon, in my opinion, is the best running back available on the board for Dynasty formats. Currently at wide receiver, you have a few names that we could be interested in. At tight end, really, Dallas Goedert is the only guy I'm looking at. QB, is there anybody left? Not necessarily. Not at this turn. Maybe the next turn. The problem with quarterback is we already have 3 of them. Okay, so Mike says, so you like Woods better than Kupp even in Dynasty? I know you like him better in a redraft, but not sure about Dynasty. Yes, sir. I believe Robert Woods is he not younger than Cooper Kupp? I know he came into the NFL significantly earlier than Kupp, but Kupp came into the NFL at like 23 years old. I know Kupp was in the 2017 draft class, but I mean, he was very, very old coming into the draft. Yeah, I mean, if you do the quick math here, he came in at 23 years old. I was not misremembering that because he's 27. He has 4 years of experience. Kupp's pretty damn old. Now, if we pull up Woods, is he 28? No, Woods is 29. Okay. That is interesting. That's going to be something that I need to look into more. But Judy and Juju both coming off here in the middle of the 7th. I like both of those picks in this range. Okay, so Ants coming out says, Mason, do I trade Dalvin Cook for Joe Burrow and a future first? I have Jamar Chase, and my other quarterbacks are Kyler, Lance, Fitzpatrick. Running backs are CMC, Cook, Taylor, and Sermon. So if this is super flex, yes, 100% trade Dalvin Cook for Joe Burrow and a future first, especially if you're getting that Jamar Chase stack. I really like that idea. Okay. So Jalen Waddle coming off the board here at the 708. So Jalen Waddle going 4 picks behind Devonta Smith. I think that's a fair range for both wide receivers in my opinion. Now, let me remind myself who we have and who we are going to be looking to stack on this team. Okay, so Wilson, really the only option left is going to be Lockett. Lance, Debo, but it's going to be a lot later on. Fields, Darnell Mooney, but of course that is disgusting. So it looks like we're just going to be probably going best player available here. We don't have to think too much into it with our overall team structure. Okay, so Kevin says, what are your thoughts with Dynasty on Curtis Samuel? Okay, so Curtis Samuel, player, I believe he is only 24 years old, came out that 2017 draft class out of Ohio State. Very impressive with his early on career in Carolina. And what we said with Curtis Samuel before free agency is you wanted to target him because we understood that in the free agent market, Curtis Samuel provides a lot more value for his NFL team, given his speed and his versatility compared to the volume that you can project him for fantasy. So what I really like doing and what we actually managed to pull off in a few leagues, obviously we're not buying him in a league and selling him in that same one. It's a lot easier when I'm playing in 20 dynasty leagues and I can go out and I already have Curtis Samuel on 2 or 3 rosters, and before the NFL free agency opens up, we can trade for him on 2 or 3 more and then sell him on the others after free agency once he sees the spike. But essentially, Curtis Samuel, very good wide receiver for Washington. I do think his ceiling is capped with the amount of volume you could expect going his way. But real quick, let me make our selection here. I think we have an easy pick between 2 or 3 players. I'm not going to be saying their names out loud, given the fact that we're going to be up on the clock very soon. But let's go DJ Chark here. We're going to take Chark at the 7-11. Now, Chark was a player that I just flat out got wrong going into the NFL draft. Now, y'all know going into the NFL draft, I said I wanted to avoid DJ Chark because we thought there was a chance Jacksonville decided to go wide receiver in the first. Well, they did not do that. So it looks like DJ Chark is going to be the #1 option in Jacksonville. So now, essentially, we're asking ourselves, are we fine reaching on Tyler Lockett slightly in Dynasty to get the stack, or do we want to be going with the player that we have higher? Obviously, Courtland Sutton was the guy that we were wanting to come back to us at the 802. At the running back spot, I really can't look at any of those guys in a start 1 running back format. Tight end, not too interested either. I think it has to be wide receiver. LaVisca, Bateman. I think I don't want to say too many names because there's a chance they come back to us. We already have such a young start. The problem here is Tyler Lockett should be the pick for the structure, but we are so young. I don't know if we're ready to compete right away. And if we're not competing right away, there's really no reason for us to be taking on a Tyler Lockett. You know what? Actually, no, we're not doing it. We're just getting Elijah Moore. I know that's a quote unquote reach, but here with Elijah Moore, I think he fits the format nicely where you have 6 flex spots, and also we have that extremely young build. We have DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Chark, Elijah Moore, and then 3. We just have such a young build where if we were wanting to go in and compete right away, Tyler Lockett would have been the play. But if you go through and you look at some of the teams in this league, a team like Benny, it's going to be very hard to try to load up on any assets where we're going to be able to reasonably compete with him this upcoming season. So I think we would rather just take the long-term value here and go the long play with a guy like Elijah Moore. Okay, so please let me know what y'all think of that, because of course that was difficult for me to make. I was really hoping that we were going to be getting Courtland Sutton coming back to us. I wish Ryan was in the chat right now so I could have asked him if he would have gone with DJ Chark if we passed on Chark and went Sutton at the 7-11. But yeah, that was a difficult position to make. Okay, so people are asking us, what are our thoughts on Austin Eckler overall? Austin Eckler, very similar to Swift, very similar to Aaron Jones, very similar to Alvin Kamara. A running back that's not going to be seeing every touch in his backfield, but all the valuable ones. They also get an upgraded offensive line this offseason. He's playing with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So you have to really like Austin Eckler for 2021. Now, his long-term value, that is in question. If I have the time, let me actually pull up the Austin Eckler contract. Y'all know I pretty much have almost every contract memorized at this point, but Austin Eckler is not one that I do. I believe Austin Eckler surprisingly has money guaranteed in 2022 as well, but let me make sure I am not wrong when I say that, because the last thing I want to do is come out and say something with confidence and end up being wrong. Okay, so Austin Eckler's pulled this up. So no, he does not have guaranteed money really in 2022. Austin Eckler, he has such a small contract, though. I would be very surprised if they decided to get out on it. So essentially, he does have guaranteed money in 2022 because he has $3 million in dead cap, which is not a lot at all. But if you look at his overall contract, he's only having 6.5 on the cap hit. So Eckler is most likely someone that is safe through 2022. And I know people hate me bringing this up because they naturally assume that all these players are going to be playing until they're 30 years old, which simply isn't the case. You have to look at worst case scenario. But I think Eckler does have the floor to be an option that runs through 2022. I think you don't have to really worry about Eckler until you get to 2023, where he's only owed $1.5 million on the dead cap and he's 7.5 on the overall hit. Okay, so let's go through and Pristine Icon says Elijah Moore over Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy was selected before Elijah Moore. I would have taken Jerry Jeudy over Elijah Moore. If you were talking about DJ Moore or Jerry Jeudy, it's DJ Moore. It's not even close. I mean, DJ Moore has a way better production profile with his early on career compared to someone like Jerry Jeudy. And also DJ Moore is competing for targets with Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall compared to Jerry Jeudy with Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant. And I believe that you have a much better coaching staff and presumably an upgrade at quarterback for DJ Moore compared to Jerry Jeudy. Okay, so let's go through and try to see who we believe the best players available are at this point. I don't want to be saying too much just because, I don't want to impact the draft board a lot. Okay, Lockett goes off at the 8:09. Ryan takes him right after we mule over that decision. Ryan looks like he most likely has a very good team here, stacking up these wide receivers. Okay, I really like this team by Ryan. Given the format, getting that running back that you can rely on, and then loading up on these wide receivers for your flex spots. How did he get all these extra picks? He essentially traded a fourth. This is what it looks like to me. It looks like he traded a fourth round pick to pick up an extra 7th and 8th. Oh, man. Congrats. A nice deal. Okay, so Darnold going off at the 8:10. Something that I really need to look into more with Sam Darnold is, I've gone through and I've talked about his limited rushing upside, and I think I have just been flat out wrong there, because if you actually look at what Sam Darnold did earlier on in his career with the New York Jets, he is someone that has had some success running the football. So Darnold maybe has a higher ceiling than what I want to give him credit for. Okay, so Europe says, hey, Mason, how far would you move the top tight ends up for a 2 tight end premium? So, man, please let me know if you're talking about 2 points per reception for the tight end position, or if you're talking about a start 2 tight end league, because there is a massive difference between the two. Okay, so, yeah, we are not up for a while. It looks like, okay, Imrod, man, get in here right now. What are we doing? Are we about to time out on this pick from Imrod? And I really hope you don't time out. Like I said, guys, this is not a mock draft. This is a real money startup. He times out and gets Robinson. I will go over to the chat real quick and let him know. Okay, so if Imrod is just completely MIA for the rest of the draft, what we're most likely going to have to do is, I don't want to say draft for him, but we're just going to have to make sure that there are no picks that are completely off the board. I mean, if like right now you see like a Mike Davis going off, then we're going to have to go through and fix that. But oh my God. How are you going to time out on a draft that you paid a decent amount of money to hop into? Okay, Easton says, greetings from Europe. I got offered Julio and a 2024 first for Jamar Chase. Your opinion? Question mark. Man, here you got to go with Jamar Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase simply has more market value than Julio Jones and a 2024 first round pick. But also, please let me know what time it is in Europe. I would have no idea. I was actually at a bar a couple weeks ago and I met some guy that's a fan of the channel from Ireland, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, let me know what time it is in Europe. Okay, so let's go through and okay, Visvish asked, haha, not really a question about the draft, but how many player jerseys do you have? Man, I do not have that many player jerseys at all. I have, if we're talking about all sports, I probably have about 8 jerseys, 8 or 9. If we were talking just football, I think I have 4. And I ordered all of these jerseys specifically because these are my favorite players in terms of the time period that we were playing Dynasty Fantasy Football. So yeah, I mean, not a ton of jerseys. Aden says, I reached 117 likes on YouTube. Guys, good job. Yes, sir. No, thank you so much, everybody, for going down there and smashing that like button. I promise you it helps us out a ton. Easton says, thanks. It's 1 a.m. in Germany right now. Okay, that is crazy. Okay, so right now, Imrod wants us to change that to Odell. Okay, so it doesn't matter though. Odell goes right after at the 903, so we can't change to it. Okay, so he wants Mac Jones. Okay, so let's change that ASAP. Okay, there we go. We couldn't get him Odell, but he got in time to get Mac Jones. Okay, so he said he's driving right now and has no service. Okay, so Mac is up on the clock right now. Let's see where Mac has gone so far. Okay, so Lawrence, Burrow, then some solid running backs. It looks like this is a little bit of a mix between a win now team and also a team building for the future because you have these cornerstone assets right here, but the rest of the roster looks a little bit more like a contending team, so that is interesting. Okay, so people asking us how many rounds we are playing in this Dynasty draft. Okay, so guys, you're going to see that this is 35 rounds, but we are obviously not drafting all 35 rounds on a live stream just because I would lose my voice and I would most likely die. But no, what we do with all these Patreon Dynasty startups is for the first 2 hours of the draft, we live stream it. And then after that, we change the timer from a 90-second timer all the way down to all the way down to 8 hours and change it to a slow draft. But another timeout. Are you kidding me right now? Okay. Okay, that actually looked like it was a preset queue because he didn't go into auto. Okay, so technically it was a timeout, but it wasn't really a timeout. That's who he had at the top of his queue. Okay, yeah, guys, I'm sorry. We can't do 35 rounds on a live stream. Maybe if we hit like 500 Patreon supporters, then we can go through and we could do something crazy like that where we can do a 6-7 hour live stream and we can live stream all 35 rounds. But that seems like a close to impossible task for the time being. But of course, if the Patreon support is there and that's what y'all want to do, if that's what y'all want to see, I will carve out a Saturday or so and just go through and make that an official thing. But what I just realized that I never announced on the channel, and I need to make sure we're announcing it, I really have only sent the announcements on Patreon so far, is we are having an official Flock meetup in Austin, Texas, June 19th at 6 p.m. Okay, let me repeat that, because if you are anywhere near Austin, Texas, and you are wondering right now, should I go to the meetup? Probably won't be fun, blah, blah, blah. No, please come. I am moving to Florida next month. This is going to be my really only shot to meet anybody in the Texas area. So if you want to come out to the Flock meetup, you do not have to be on Patreon. You do not have to do anything other than just show up. Please, please, please make sure you save the date and I will be making the official announcement when we have a location for the meetup. Of course, if you have any ideas of where you would want it to be hosted and you're familiar with the Austin area, you can shoot me that DM over there on Twitter, Patreon, Instagram. It doesn't matter. And if you're planning on going, I would love to hear a DM from you regardless. That way I can try to get a head count with how many people are going to be there. Okay, so the Cat's Pajamas coming out says thoughts on Van Jefferson. Okay, Van Jefferson. Okay, couple things here. He was a 5-year player coming out of college, coming into the NFL. He was supposed to be a slot wide receiver that was supposedly the best route runner in the class. So you would assume that's going to make him an instant impact player. Yet he makes no impact at all at like 24, 25 years old, his rookie season. And then directly after that, they go out, take Tutu Atwell in the second round and sign Deshaun Jackson. So Van Jefferson, he's dead. RIP. Never going to be anything. Best case scenario, you get to start him for 2 weeks. Kevin coming out with a donation says, thanks for the content. Nobody is hustling more than you in the YouTube fantasy world. Going to start supporting you on Patreon. Cheers. Go Pat, go. Man, thank you so much, Kevin. Kevin, even thank you way more than this donation just for coming out to all the premieres. Guys, Kevin has literally been to pretty much every single video premiere for, I want to say, the past 2 weeks now. So, of course, thank you for the donation. Thank you for joining the flock over there on Patreon. But more importantly, thank you for your consistent support, coming out and talking it up with me every single time we premiere one of those videos. Okay. So also, Kevin, give me your opinion on Rodgers. Let me know if you think Rodgers is going to be there this upcoming season. And as you do that, we do have to go through, and we probably should have been looking at the draft board so we weren't scrambling at this point. Looks like there's no running backs we really want. Wide receiver, the thing is, the format really makes me want to go wide receiver here. Let's see if there are any guys that stand out to us from this rookie draft class so we can continue to stack those 2021 rookies. Of course, when we are going through this, what we are mainly looking to do is we're mainly looking to bring in some younger players, some guys that we don't expect to lose value anytime soon because we've already gone through and we have already built an extremely young roster. So essentially, we're going to be looking at, I want to say 2 options here. I don't want to say both their names just because I want to have an option to take one on the way back. I don't want Ryan to end up sniping us. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay, I say we continue this trend, taking the 2021 rookies, and we take Terrace Marshall at the 911. So this is after taking Elijah Moore at the 802. So essentially the last rookie in that tier, in my opinion. Imrod saying, man, Imrod, I'm very sorry. I just missed that DM. You sent a message in the general chat saying, can you change James Robinson to Rondale Moore? I'm sorry. I simply can't just because Rondale Moore was selected at the 909 now. I am very sorry that I just now saw that. I apologize. I apologize, my man. Okay, so let's go through, and Matthew hyping up Mike Geseki in the chat. And here with Mike Geseki, I will admit that he is the complete prototype of a tight end that I would want to be investing into. Literally a 99th percentile athlete. Not only does he have the elite athleticism, but also he does have the frame and the receiving capabilities with what we saw from him at Penn State. But the problem is, I mean, he has had essentially no faith put into him by the Miami Dolphins coaching staff. He only has 1 year left on his rookie contract. They go out, draft Hunter Long in the 3rd round. So I'm a little bit hesitant of going and investing into Mike Geseki. He does go off the board here at the 1001. And here we're going to continue drafting these wide receivers, given the fact that you have 6 flex spots. You only have to start one of every position. And in those flex spots, I'm going to be wanting to slam in wide receivers. So our draft so far has been Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields at the quarterback spots. Then running back, Travis Etienne as our lone guy, which I'm completely fine with. Then at wide receiver, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Chark, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, and Curtis Samuel. Very excited about this start. Honestly, this is like the exact build that I thought we would have. The only difference is I assumed that we would have a guy like CeeDee Lamb instead of Justin Fields. I didn't expect Justin Fields to fall to us at the 402. But it is what it is sometimes. Sometimes you just got to take the value where you can. Hopefully, we trade Justin Fields after this draft, but nothing is guaranteed. Okay, so Dom Koss saying he likes our Terrace Marshall pick. Yeah, I think Terrace Marshall fits the team build very nicely here, given the fact that we do have those other 2021 rookies. But what is interesting now, I didn't even realize this, we do have both DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall. So essentially, when we're rostering both of those players, we're making a bet that Robbie Anderson is most likely out of Carolina next year. And if that happens, you would expect the target share to go up for both Terrace Marshall and DJ Moore. So that is interesting. I don't know if we like having both of them on the same roster, but there is a path where I think it can work out. Okay, so we have a question. Will Terrace be starting immediately, or do you see his role only expanding next year if Robbie Anderson leaves? This is what we were talking about earlier in the draft when we actually got a question on Curtis Samuel. I was essentially saying that I do not think that there are going to be a plug-and-play option for Curtis Samuel this next year, because if you look at the difference between Terrace Marshall and Curtis Samuel, I mean, they essentially play two completely different positions. I mean, they are not the same type of wide receiver at all. So what I would be expecting is I'd be expecting Terrace Marshall to take up some of the targets that you get from Curtis Samuel, but more importantly, what I'm expecting is Robbie Anderson to leave next year, and that's when Terrace Marshall comes through and takes that significant jump up. Okay. Joe Johnson coming in says 130 likes. Let's get it to 150. What up, Flockers? Man, thank you so much for coming out to the live stream. And Joe, I swear, I don't see you in nearly as many premieres as usual. I completely understand. Life gets in the way. Maybe I am just going crazy. Maybe I have a poor memory. But I remember you coming out to every single one a couple weeks ago. Now, Kevin coming out says, I think he's back in training camp. I believe the Packers, when they say they will not trade him, I don't see him sitting out, but if he doesn't want to be here, it sucks, but I'm ready for Jordan Love. So, Kevin, do you actually believe that Jordan Love is going to be the long-term answer? Like, have you been reading any reports out of camp? I read a bunch of reports saying that Jordan Love has taken a significant step up from where he was last year, but I mean, people were saying last year that he simply was not ready to be an NFL quarterback and was not even close to being so. So at least how I read into that was saying he could still take a step up and not necessarily be an average quarterback in the NFL. But trust me, Jordan Love, one of my highest owned players in Dynasty, because even if you aren't necessarily a believer in the talent, if you end up having Aaron Rodgers moved, then all of a sudden Jordan Love gets, at the very minimum, worth at least a first, second round pick. At the very minimum, he becomes Mac Jones. At least that's how I'm reading the situation. Okay, so Adam says, what is this saying about Sam Darnold's value if he has all these potential top tier pass catchers? Man, that is a good thing to point out, where we are willing to bet on the wide receivers, but why are we not willing to bet on the quarterback? That is a very interesting thing. This is similar to what I was facing with Jameis Winston back in 2019, where you had a sky-high ADP for Chris Godwin, for Mike Evans, for O.J. Howard, yet not many people were really valuing Jameis Winston at all. So back in his year where he threw 30 interceptions, we had Jameis Winston across so many dynasty formats. And of course, that ended up not working out in the long haul, but for that 2019 production, I mean, we got a ton of it. Okay, so Mike says, does this format bump up the tight ends more? I feel like it would, because you start less of the other positional players and the same amount of tight ends. Maybe I need to look a little bit more into that, my man. But the thing is, when you have 6 flex spots, you're essentially going to be starting just as many as those other players. I mean, if you would have gone through and say we would have gotten rid of the second running back spot, the second and third wide receiver starting spots, and we wouldn't have replaced them with flex spots, then definitely. I mean, if this was a start 8 league instead of a start 11, and we just went, hey, we're getting rid of these other spots and not adding the flexes, oh yeah, then tight ends get a massive bump up. But the thing is, you're also going through and adding those flex spots where you're going to be presumably starting wide receivers anyway. So yeah, maybe I am not thinking about it hard enough, but please let me know your opinions on that, my dudes. I am just thinking that it's probably a situation that is neutral for tight ends, because you're going to be starting the same amount. You're going to be starting the same amount of players. So it's not like they are making up a higher percentage of your starting lineup points, but I could be wrong. Okay, so Gabriel Davis going at the 10:07, Fournette at the 10:06, Mike Davis at the 10:04. I really don't like the Leonard Fournette pick at the 10:06. I mean, I would have preferred having probably 12 other players, to be completely honest. I don't like how Sleeper is doing this quote-unquote tiers business. I don't know why we are getting these massive breaks Oh, like, can y'all, okay, y'all can see that on the live stream. I have no idea what that is about. I've never seen that before. It looks like they're only doing that at tight end and quarterback, however. Okay, Kevin saying he has zero optimism that Jordan Love is the actual future for Green Bay. Well, that knowledge is having me go, we should probably be trading Jordan Love once he sees that spike in value. Okay, so Matthew says, can you go through and do some team-by-team analysis, maybe compare yourself to other productive struggle teams? Yeah, let's see if we can identify other productive struggle teams right now. I mean, here, I have a hard time calling this a productive struggle team, to be honest. Obviously, we are one. Now, Ben, now, when you take Waller, when you take Jacobs, when you take Fuller, when you take Galladay, not a productive struggle. Kamara, Hopkins, not a productive struggle. Here you can make the argument that Jared went productive struggle in trading up to get those first-round picks. Obviously, Mike Evans doesn't fit the mold, but it was value where he got him. I would prefer my own start. I just really like the structure that we have given the league format. I know a lot of people are going to not agree with me on where we took a few guys, but I think all in all, if you're talking about a league where you start one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and then the rest are flex spots, I think this is essentially the ideal start. I think you want to make sure you have that one running back that you can rely on in your starting lineup. You have a committee of quarterbacks that you can expect top-end production from, and the rest of your lineup, you're just hammering in a wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver without really stopping. Okay, Joe says, yeah, I've been missing the streams lately. Gonna have to do something to fix that. Miss chilling in the premieres. Okay, man, thank you for just confirming with me on that. The last thing I wanted is for me to assume that you weren't coming out to the premieres and just be completely wrong. So I'm sorry that you've been missing them. But anyway, I understand that life gets in the way. Life is way, 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 way more important than, I mean, I understand that anything y'all are doing in your personal life is more important than coming out and talking to me during a YouTube video premiere. I know that this is my entire life, but it's not everybody else's. So please don't think I'm upset or anything. It's just wondering what was going on. Aaron said close to 150 likes. Yes, sir. We are right there. We're definitely getting to 150 likes this live stream. You know what I probably should have done at the start of the stream? I probably should have grabbed a water bottle, but we aren't smart enough to do that. Now, Corey Davis at the 10-11. Now, Corey Davis, fantastic value. That's the exact type of player I want to be targeting in this format. Congrats, Imrod. I mean, hey, that is a great pick. Okay. So let's pull up where we are most likely going to be going. Actually, we're so far away, it's almost impossible to say. Okay, so it looks like someone's typing in the chat, so let's see what's going on there. Martin says, how much less should I value quarterbacks in a one quarterback format? Significantly less, my man. What you're going to see is you're going to see this top tier of quarterbacks. The Mahomes is going to fall to being an early third-round pick. These guys, anywhere from Josh Allen all the way down to Trey Lance, they're going to be starting to go off the board in the 4th, and they're going to get down to the 5th and 6th. But the significant difference that you're going to see in a one quarterback format compared to a super flex is once you get past that elite tier of guys, what you're going to find is you are going to find that all of these players down here, the Baker Mayfield, the Matt Ryan, the Carson Wentz, the Kirk Cousins, they simply hold no value at all. I mean, they are going to be going way, 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 way down in the range, down in the round 20 plus. At least that's where they should be going. So essentially, in a one quarterback format, what I would prefer doing is I would prefer waiting. I would rather try to get a guy like Jalen Hurts, possibly way down in round 10, given the fact that we know that he does have that elite rushing upside. And maybe you see just other teams kind of check out on the quarterback position, because if you think about how many elite starting quarterbacks there are in a one quarterback format, let's go and look at the demand. Okay, so you have Mahomes, Allen, Murray, Lamar, Herbert, Prescott, Lawrence, Burrow, Wilson, Lance. And then if you can also throw in possibly a Justin Fields, you can throw in a Deshaun Watson. I mean, right there, you already have 10, 11 starting quarterbacks. So what you're going to find is you're going to find a lot of those players go off the board in the middle of the 5th round. And then after that, nobody's looking to draft their backup quarterback in a one quarterback league. So they are going to be falling down there into where you could possibly get someone like an Aaron Rodgers down here in the 11th round. You could get someone like a Jalen Hurts down here in the 9th. Aaron saying, are you going to try to trade Russell Wilson? Honestly, Russell Wilson on a productive struggle team, I'm completely fine with. I mean, his value is so insulated. That's a big reason why we took Russell Wilson at the 202 compared to an Alvin Kamara. I mean, with Russell Wilson, I understand that he is old. What is he now? 33 years old? Let me pull this up. 32 years old. Okay, so he is 32 years old, but you have to understand, I mean, you have other quarterbacks, just say a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who if you look at their two careers, they are very comparable. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 5 years older. He's only going 2 rounds after in startups, and he also has all this controversy around where he's going to be playing next year. So Russell Wilson is a very insulated asset. I don't feel the need to move him at all. Okay, Jordan saying, is it Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill this year? In my opinion, I think it's most likely going to be Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston gives the Saints the best shot at actually winning over a long haul, because I'd imagine that teams now that they actually have film and they can game plan effectively against Taysom Hill, I'd imagine, and I could be wrong, I'm not a defensive coordinator, but my initial thought would be that would be an easy thing to shut down. Okay, looks like we just passed 150 likes. That is massive. Thank you, my dudes. Okay, Mike's saying Amara St. Brown didn't impress at all before the draft, and the Lions aren't going to have much volume. Boyd isn't playing a desired role in that offense. Okay, maybe I am missing out on something. Maybe you're telling us to draft someone like Amara St. Brown, which I can assure you is not going to happen in this range. But please let me know what I'm missing. Let me know what context I'm missing there. Maybe someone said something about him earlier in the chat. Okay, so now we are upcoming on a range where we can start to get creative, where we are going to be going with the positions. There's one player that I would really like, but I'm unsure if he's going to fall to us here. Gallup is a really good pick in the 11th. I understand that he doesn't have much upside for this upcoming season, given the fact that he is playing alongside CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. But this is his last year under his rookie contract. This is someone that has been impressive when he's had opportunity before. So I really like that pick of Michael Gallup in the 11th round. We are put in a pretty tough spot here. Okay, Mike. Oh, okay. I got you, my man. Jeff saying, what do you think of Henry before Jonnu Smith? It's very interesting because you see the contracts that they give both tight ends, and both tight end contracts are pretty big, but specifically the Jonnu contract is larger than the Hunter Henry, and you would assume with most positions that would indicate a bigger role on the offense, but Jonnu is definitely going to be a better blocking option. So I simply don't know what to make of that tight end room. I mean, I would like to sit here and act like I have a take on everything, but the New England Patriots tight end room with both Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, I can't evaluate it. If you have a good take, please let me hear it, because I don't really have anything with confidence. Okay, Taryn coming out says, Mason, do you like the 2022 or the 2023 class better? Looks like the 2023 class is going to be significantly better with the running backs that it has in it, aka Bijan Robinson. But I will warn everybody, especially if you're new to Dynasty, if you're new to Devy, while it's very fun to go through and look at those current top players in college and project them into the NFL, a lot of the times it doesn't matter. And I don't want to say it doesn't matter. That's a poor choice of words, but a better way for me to explain it is think about how low of a hit rate you already have with a first-round drafted wide receiver in the NFL draft already. And that player has made it all the way through college. That player has made it all the way, checked every single box, and we have that many data points on him to make him a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and still the bust rate is going to be high. So when you're evaluating a player, especially someone from the 2023 NFL draft class, there are so many landmines that they have to dodge along the way just to get the draft capital. And then beyond that, then they have to avoid being a prototypical bust from the first round regardless. So 2023, I like definitely more than 2022, but I want to warn everybody in trying to fall head over heels with a certain draft class. I mean, if you have a ton of experience with Devy, like if you've been playing Devy fantasy football for years now, then I'm fine with you doing that. But I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page and understanding that the hit rate on those guys is going to be significantly lower than what you would want to assume. Okay, let's move this over real quick. That way we're not taking up too much of the screen with the active picks. Okay, so we get Jordan Love at the 11-11. And now we are going to be back up on the clock. So let's see. Okay, this is going to be difficult. We are mainly going to be looking at the wide receiver position. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do it. I think we may need to, though. No, that would be just so gross. It'd be so gross. I'm sorry, guys. Just give me a second to look through this list real quick. There are like 3 or 4 guys that I'm staring at right now. Okay, I don't like it. I'll be the first one to admit it. But given the fact we are pretty much all in on the productive struggle for this team, we're taking Kadarius Toney here at the beginning of the 12th. I understand it's a gross pick. I do not like it. I will admit that. But, I mean, if we go through and we look at our roster, I think it makes the most sense. So if you pull up our team right now, okay, so this is a team that has Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields at quarterback. And I will move this over so y'all can see the rest of the team. We have Travis Etienne at running back. And like I said, guys, what you really want to focus in on this league is you only have to start one running back. You only have to start one tight end. So what that means is we can go through and we can slam in 8 wide receivers into our starting lineup if we want to. So with that knowledge, we are going to be drafting wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, as long as we believe that there are value on the board. So with our wide receiver room, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Chark, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, Curtis Samuel, Kadarius Toney, and we get Jordan Love, most likely as someone that's going to increase in dynasty value over the next few months. Okay. So I know that is disgusting, guys, but I think it fits the roster. I think if we were going productive struggle, it makes sense to get the first round drafted player in Kadarius Toney. If he has an impressive rookie season, we can then look to flip. Okay, so Chad saying, when is the $500 buy-in league? Okay, so with the $500 buy-in league, guys, if you have not heard the announcement with this, we are doing a high stakes dynasty league over there on Patreon, where it's going to be a $500 buy-in. And essentially, we are going to be doing it as a giveaway of sorts, where one of the spots in the league, obviously I'm playing in the league as well. I'm taking a spot and I'm putting up my own $500, but I'm also going to be buying a separate spot. So I'm going to be buying 2 teams in the league, and I'm going to be giving away one of the teams for someone random over there on Patreon who wants to participate in the league, but doesn't necessarily want to put up $500 to try to take home the, what would that be if even half the, I mean, the league pot of a $500 league is going to be $6,000. So yeah, essentially I'll be playing in the league myself and also buying another team to do as a giveaway over there on Patreon. And we're going to do that when we hit 400 Patreon supporters. I believe we are about 80 away, and I believe we got over 100 people joining Patreon this past month. So I'd imagine that high stakes league gets kicked off early July. Dom saying, can that $500 league be streamed? Yes, sir. That is 100% going to be streamed. I promise you that. And what's going to be really fun is if we continue to grow like we have been doing, maybe we can get a couple of those $500 leagues going, or maybe every time we get another 100 people signing up for Patreon, we open up another $500 Dynasty League and I do a giveaway for one of the spots with a random person on Patreon. But yeah, let me know what y'all think of that idea. Okay, Aaron says, I thought you would have gone Allen Robinson earlier because of the Justin Fields pick. Man, trust me, I would have loved to get the Justin Fields, Allen Robinson stack. But essentially the problem was when you're looking at a team that is this young, I was going to have a very hard time justifying spending that much capital at the 405 into a veteran player that we can almost guarantee was going to be having less dynasty value next offseason than he currently holds. So yeah, I think we more so had to go productive struggle with that route. Now, Jalen Reagor at the 12-6, that was a player that we were considering with this past pick where we decided to go Kadarius Toney. Okay, so let's go through. And, of course, we got the meme guy himself coming out in Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is someone we have focused in on too much over the past few weeks in this channel, so I'm going to just zip my lip and not say anything. Visvish, and I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I am trying my best, my man. Asking, how long have we been playing fantasy? I've been playing fantasy football since I believe I was 9 years old when I started playing. So I was 9 years old back in 2008. If my math checks out, I was born in 98. So actually 2007. I started playing fantasy back in 2007. I started playing Dynasty fantasy football and switched over to almost exclusively Dynasty fantasy football and let it consume my life back in 2014. Okay, so let's go through. And Kevin says, are people sleeping on Jared Cook? Feel like he'll have a sneaky nice season. Yeah, so Jared Cook getting a nice spot in not San Diego, in Los Angeles. But the problem with Jared Cook is he has been so ineffective on a team where you would expect him to be able to thrive with how good the situation has been in New Orleans the past few years. And he's been inefficient with his targets. And he is just another year older. So it's kind of hard to go all in on a player with that build. Solomon going, when is that Javonte Williams video dropping? I will write it down for you, man. I will upload that video on the 3rd. I will record that video tomorrow. Let me do the research tonight and tomorrow morning, and I will get that out. Actually, we don't even have to do the research at this point. I'll just pull up the Javonte Williams page on the Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, and then we can just talk about it. Okay, so Sebastian going, what are some of your favorite value picks in the 10 through 15 round range, currently in a 12-man Superflex draft? Okay, so if we're talking about 10 through 15 round range, okay, so let's just go through rounds 10. Let's go through with what we have seen so far. My favorite values in round 10 here, if we were talking pure value, I think Corey Davis at the 10-11 was a fantastic pick. I mean, going after Henry Ruggs, Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis was very impressive last year when A.J. Brown missed time to go on with that. What you had with Corey Davis is a massive contract for him in New York. So you have to love Corey Davis at the 10-11. Now the 11th round, I understand that I am most likely going to be very biased here, but I do like the Jordan Love selection at the 11-11, understanding that if Aaron Rodgers does get traded, it doesn't matter what you think of Jordan Love. That's going to be a player that we can immediately flip at a massive profit if that's something we would like to do. Now, of course, I have Jordan Love in, I think, over half our Dynasty leagues at this point, so I'll probably look to sell him in a few and hold him in a few. Jordan Love, my favorite value pick in the 11th and the 12th. Maybe Logan Thomas. Yeah, in a tight end premium format, I think we have to go Logan Thomas. Okay, so Alika is saying, haha, I've been playing fantasy football since 1998. We used to have to go through the newspaper for scoring. Yeah, man, my dad told me the same thing, how he used to have to go through and do the newspaper. I mean, I was lucky where when I started playing on Yahoo right away, so I never had to deal with anything like that. It's going to be crazy when we're hearing 10 years from now that people have only played fantasy football on Sleeper, because I really think that Sleeper is going to eventually win out. I mean, they have a platform that is very easy to use, and we have seen consistently that they are willing to improve it. Okay, said, have you always used Sleeper, or is this just for Dynasty? Okay, no, I used Yahoo way early on. Sleeper actually wasn't around when I first started playing Dynasty. When I first started playing Dynasty, you only had a few options. You could do Flea Flicker, which was disgusting. But more importantly, you could do myfantasyleague.com. That was the #1 website for Dynasty Fantasy Football, and really the staple for Dynasty Fantasy Football for a very long time. Now, Sleeper is straight up running them out of business, given the fact that they have a better product and it's free compared to MFL charging you $60 a year. So, yeah, trust me, we host a ton of leagues on MFL, and I'm essentially going to be having to move them all off of MFL because you can't justify paying $60 a year for a worse product. There's literally no justification. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find something better than Sleeper when you're seeing that they are willing to go through. I mean, they just added Best Ball. They're listening to people who know what they want, and they are giving them what they want. Mike saying, I think casuals will still use ESPN and Yahoo. Yeah, I mean, do people still use Yahoo? I mean, Yahoo I actually had no problems with way back in the day. I don't know how it is. I probably haven't played on a Yahoo platform in, I want to say, 10 plus years. Actually, not 10 plus, maybe 10 plus years. I haven't played in Yahoo in a very long time. McCole Hardman in the 13th. I really like that McCole Hardman selection. I honestly would have considered Mecole Hardman at the 1202. But the thing is, I just assumed that Mecole Hardman was a player that maybe we saw make it back to us at the 1311. The Objective says, the geezers at my work still use CBS. I've never played on a CBS platform. Okay, so Mecole Hardman going off the board, that does kind of suck, and we need to be going through and looking at who we're going to be drafting right now. And clearly we've kind of leaned all in on making this a productive struggle team. So we're going to have to go through and look for some young guys that we can add to the squad. There aren't that many appealing options, to be honest, as we scroll through this. Yeah, there are not that many options here. Okay, so hopefully we get one guy that I'm really looking at coming back to us, but I honestly even doubt it. Easton saying, do you prefer wide receiver over running back for the flex spot? Yes, if you're talking, just say a redraft league, you're talking a DFS lineup where you're actually getting to play a week-by-week game where you're looking at the projections and you're most likely going to be able to find a running back that you know is going to see 25 touches, then yeah, sure, go with the running back in your flex spot. They are most likely going to have a higher median projection than a wide receiver. But when you're talking Dynasty, where you have to consider the price and you have to look at the players in a similar range. Right here, would you rather have Elijah Moore or Chase Edmonds? Would you rather have DJ Chark or Kareem Hunt? I think at that point, you'll lean with the wide receiver, given the fact that, yeah, they're going to be a little bit more volatile. They're going to have spike weeks. They're going to have down weeks. But if you can capture those spike weeks, it's all going to even out in the long haul. Okay, so now let's go through and see if we have any other questions. Dom Cost asking, what type of payment do you accept for your leagues? Okay, for that $500 league that we were talking about earlier, we are going to be doing league safe. I do not want to be holding on to a $6,000 league pot. We're doing league safe. I will say that. The last thing I need is that kind of pressure on me, because what if, just say, PayPal or something froze me and I wasn't allowed to get the league pot out, and all of a sudden I had people thinking I stole that? Not even going to deal with it. We're just going to do league safe. Okay, so Russell Gage going off the board in the 13th round. Russell Gage, definitely someone rising up now that we have the Julio Jones news of him most likely being traded. Kind of disappointing that we have yet to have Julio Jones officially traded today. I was kind of hoping that was going to happen during this live stream, but it is what it is. Now, Pat Frymuth, someone I was wanting to go with at the 13-11. Nice pick, Victor. That was my guy. Hate to see that snipe. The Objective saying, Jonnu going to shock the doubters this year. Bill is absolutely enamored by him. Yeah, you see that with the contract, to be honest. Okay, so Amari Rodgers, Amon-Ra St. Brown going off. Okay, we're about to have 3 picks up here. So we really got to be looking into this, figuring out who we're going to be going with. Okay, so at the running back spot, you have some handcuffs that could be interesting. We only have 1 running back so far, so I will point that out. Wide receiver, there are a few guys. At tight end, there's a name that appeals to me. Okay, Diami Brown goes to Ben right before us. I do like that draft pick, but I think here, and I know people aren't really going to like this, but it is what it is. We took Justin Fields earlier, and y'all know I'm not a massive Darnell Mooney guy. So I think what we are going to do instead is instead of stacking with Darnell Mooney, which actually already went off the board, we're going to stack with Cole Kmet. So we're going to get Cole Kmet as our first tight end off the board here. Like I said, guys, this is a productive struggle team. We're probably not looking to compete until 2022. So I know a lot of people are going to prefer Jonnu Smith with that pick. But given the stack, given the fact that we don't care about this upcoming season's production, I think Cole Kmet maybe is a better option. Okay, so Adam Troutman going off the board there at the 13-12. I do like to see Adam Troutman going off the board right after we take Kmet. Troutman also someone with a ton of upside this year, falling into a lot of opportunity. But now we are up on the clock, and I think there's a clear player that we want. yeah, I think we get the guy that we want. Well, let's just get Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, fully healthy, going after T.Y. Hilton in this draft. We are getting him as our, let's see how many wide receivers we have on this team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8th wide receiver, and we are going to be up on the clock in 3 picks yet again. Oh my gosh. Okay, it looks like we passed likes on this live stream compared to live viewers. That is massive, massive, massive. Literally no other channel on YouTube has the kind of support that y'all show this channel. So thank you, my dudes. Y'all are the reason this is growing so fast. Mike asking, why did you grab DJ Moore instead of Allen Robinson to stack with Fields? Yeah, man, we already talked about this earlier, and I completely agree that if you're talking a neutral situation, given those quarterbacks, we would have preferred Allen Robinson. But the thing is, we are going a productive struggle team. We had already taken Travis Etienne, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields, and it looked like some other teams earlier on in the draft were going with the contending build to win right now team. So yeah, we decided to go productive struggle, and at that point we really aren't going to be taking Allen Robinson. I mean, he is playing under the franchise tag, so it's hard to even say that he's 100% going to be in Chicago next year. So yeah, I think that you could make the argument that DJ Moore wasn't the best pick there, but I wasn't going to be looking at Allen Robinson. Okay, so Antonio Brown. Now there are a few players. There's one guy I really want to grab, but the thing is, I think he can make it back to us. So we're going to pass on him. Do we double down? Do we take Jonnu Smith? Please spam the chat right now if you want me to take Jonnu Smith. If y'all think Jonnu Smith is the pick here, I will give in and we'll take Jonnu. There are a few other players that I'd like, but I think Jonnu's the one guy that wouldn't make it back to us. So I'll wait about 20 seconds because I know there's a lag on the stream. We did just take Cole Kmet. How old is Jonnu Smith? I'm assuming that he is 25, maybe 26. No, 25. We were correct. So let's see. I don't even want to give you all the other options for who I'd want to go with because I want them to come back to us. And I just know Jonnu Smith is not going to come back. That's why I'm willing to bring up his name. Okay, so Jordan wants us to take Jonnu. Keith wants us to go Jonnu as well. Okay, we'll go Jonnu Smith. It is a tight end premium format, only 25 years old. So we will be taking him here. And I want to point out to a bunch of people that probably weren't playing Dynasty back in 2017, but I want to point this out because I know a lot of people are saying that Kyle Pitts is going to be untouchable at this time. Jonnu Smith was more valuable back when he came into the NFL back in 2017 in that rookie draft than he currently is in Dynasty. And he had an impressive few years under his rookie contract, and he gets a massive deal going to New England. So you can always pick up these veteran tight ends a little bit cheaper later on compared to their rookie drafts. I mean, if you look historically, very rarely, very, 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 very rarely has a tight end increased in value after his rookie season. And you've never had a tight end as valuable as Kyle Pitts. I will say that. Okay. So we get Jonnu. Zach Ertz goes right after us, and it looks like the Buffalo Bills may be clearing up some space to get Zach Ertz over in Buffalo. If you looked at what they were doing with the cap in changing Stephon Diggs and his salary to more of a sign-on bonus earlier this morning. So that would be interesting. Now, Victor says, need a tight end? Call me? Question mark. Let's see how many tight ends he has. Okay, so he has been loading up on tight ends at this point. Kittle, Pitts, Andrews, Freiermuth, and Zach Ertz. Maybe we'll be sending him an offer, trying to get him Justin Fields and trying to move up to get someone. I actually know, because we're not going to be trading for Kittle on this. Maybe we trade for Kittle and we try to push this to a win now team. Maybe we try to go out there and target Kittle. Josh Palmer at the middle of the 14th round. Do not mind that value in the slightest. And yeah, guys, even with this productive struggle team, I mean, if Jonnu's producing elite numbers in the middle of the season, which I know it's hard to project him to have elite numbers, but if he has far above average numbers in the middle of the year, then we could also look to sell. And guys, a couple announcements. I know we already made this at the very beginning of the live stream, but I doubt the people watching this now are these same people that heard that earlier. So our rookie draft guide is available over there on Patreon. and I understand that it says that only people a part of the Mother Flocker tier can access it, which is true for anybody signing up for Patreon right now. But if you've been signed up for Patreon for whatever tier, it doesn't matter if it's literally a $2 a month tier. If you've been signed up since 2019 and you supported the show all the way back then you have access to every single rookie draft guide, every single redraft guide that's coming out going forward. And I think that's how we're going to do all of our draft guides every single offseason. We're going to do every single year a Dynasty rookie draft guide. Next year, we're most likely going to try to get it out before the NFL draft now that we have experience going through and making one of these. And also a 2021, 2022, every single season redraft guide is going to be available over there on Patreon. I don't think we are going to be selling it as a separate thing because I just want to focus in on growing the community. I want to focus in on getting that core. Okay, but if you are a part of Patreon way back in 2019 supporting the show, please shoot me a DM if you want the draft guide. That's what you have to do, and then I'll send that email out to you. Okay, so Jared Cook, Blake Jarwin. So it looks like we do have a little bit of a tight end run going off the board here. I mean, since we took Cole Kmet, you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys going and about 10 picks. So that is interesting. Now, Alexander Madison at the 14-11. So it looks like Emrod is picking up some of these handcuff running backs for running backs that he does not have in his starting lineup. So, man, I like that strategy. Y'all know I do not mind handcuff running backs at all. My problem is when you're drafting a handcuff running back to the starter that you have on the same team, limiting your upside. I mean, drafting a Tony Pollard is perfectly fine, but I want to make sure that we're drafting him on a team that you took CMC in the first round, because all of a sudden, if Ezekiel Elliott gets injured, you have 2 running back ones and you're in a position to win your league. So that's what I want to see. Really like that strategy happening here at the end. Now, we may end up having to go running back sometime soon just because you look at this, and I know we are a productive struggle team, so it's not massive with our team needs, but we do not have a single running back outside of Travis Etienne, and we are all the way down in round 15. Now, I will be completely honest. I knew this was going to happen. This was my strategy coming in. I mean, you don't necessarily want to be loading up with those running backs in a league where you only have to start one. Now, it's Emrod takes Latavius Murray. This man is literally soaking up every single handcuff running back, maybe selling it to the Alvin Kamara owner if Alvin Kamara gets injured. And that's an easy way to pick up some value if they do fall into opportunity. Okay. So let's go through. So just got here, Mason. Can you show the board real quick? Yes, sir. I will show the board. Let me pull up here and let me hide my screen at the same time. That way y'all can see this. Okay, so this is the draft board so far. And if you just got here, I'm going to go over. In this format, you only have to start 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end. You have a super flex, and then you have 6 other flex spots. So really, you can do whatever strategy you want. If we go through and highlight certain teams, given the trades, this is how the teams can shake out. Obviously, y'all can pause the live stream and see it anyway, but I like clicking on it. That way, y'all have an easier view with the trades that have occurred. Okay, there we go. I think that probably provided everybody with a pretty good view of the draft board on where we were so far. Now, Kenyon Drake all the way down in the 15th round. Now, that may have been the best draft pick of the entire draft, to be honest. Now, if you look at the guaranteed money that Kenyon Drake got going to Las Vegas, this is a running back that you're most likely going to be having as an option where you can plug him and play him if you really are extremely limited on options that week. And to go along with this, we know that if we see Josh Jacobs suffer an injury, then all of a sudden Kenyon Drake does turn into a workhorse running back. So I do like that pick of Drake in the middle of the 15th. Okay, so David Johnson in the middle of the 15th as well. So we are going to be up here. I was saying we were going to go running back, but now it looks like we may not be able to. I mean, after this recent run, it looks like we may be going somewhere else. I am happy that we decided to go tight end because really it looks like there are always appealing tight end options, to be completely honest. We can always find a tight end that we kind of like. Now, Kenneth Gainwell, I promise you, if this was not a flock league, would have gone rounds before this. He would have gone much, much further up. I have actually not drafted Kenneth Gainwell in a single rookie draft. The video tomorrow that we're premiering is going to be me covering the rookie class and every rookie that I have not drafted out of all my leagues this offseason. But Darrell Henderson, our guy, the guy that we almost took ahead of Paris Campbell here. The reason I took Paris Campbell is because I assumed Darrell Henderson had a good shot making it back to us at the end of the 15th. Goes at the 15:06. That sucks. I really, really, really wanted Darrell Henderson. I thought we were most likely going to get him. Okay, so now let's go through and now we got to find a backup option because Henderson was a clear value pick in my opinion. Okay, there are just so many wide receivers. Every single time we get up on the board, I can convince myself into going with a wide receiver. Tight end's kind of soaked up. Cam Newton going off here at the 15:08. Let's see how many quarterbacks Jared has had before taking Cam. Okay, so that's his third quarterback, and one of his quarterbacks is Carson Wentz. So I think that is probably a smart way to go about it. Now, Ben is up, and then we get our pick next. So I'm calling Ben shot here. He is going Christian Kirk, former Texas A&M player. He's already loaded up on some of these Texas A&M players with a guy like Ryan Tannehill. Let me see if he's grabbed any of the other ones. No, he has not. So let's see if he takes his second guy here with Christian Kirk. Jake saying you are getting stream sniped. Man, that is why I'm trying to hold off on talking about the players that I'm interested in until we are on the clock, because I know that we most likely would be getting stream sniped. Okay, so it's Imrod has already sent Victor a trade. I'm assuming for one of those tight ends. Let me see what tight ends Imrod. Yeah, Imrod only has Hunter Henry, so I'm assuming that he is sending a trade for possibly a Kittle, possibly a Pitts. Hopefully we see something go through on stream. Jake's saying, love the Jordan Love pick. Yes, sir. I mean, Jordan Love, especially on a productive struggle team, I think at the 11-11, that's a pick we can get excited about. Okay, but Jimmy Garoppolo going off the board, not interested in Jimmy G. Now I think what we do is we go to the wide receiver position. And there are a few wide receivers that are all kind of in a similar range for me at this point. But given the fact that we have a productive struggle team, given the fact that we do have Russell Wilson, I think we get a built-in stack here. Yeah, Christian Kirk, I definitely think he's a much better wide receiver. But if we were talking about a guy in a similar tier, you always want to be going for the stack, especially the rookie when we know the taxi squad rules in this league. I think that's going to be a little bit more valuable on a productive struggle roster. So we're going to be taking Dwayne Eskridge here in the 15th round, even though I know a lot of people are not going to like that. Okay, Teddy B going directly after. So Ryan pretty much guaranteeing himself a starting quarterback with one of those Denver guys, unless you actually end up seeing Aaron Rodgers getting traded over there. But now let's pull this back up. I think we go Bryan Edwards. Yeah, we are going to be going Bryan Edwards here in the 16th round. Someone I did not like in rookie drafts last year, but someone that dealt with injuries his rookie season. And you also see wide receivers leave Las Vegas with only John Brown coming back in. So Bryan Edwards in the 16th as a sophomore year player, I am perfectly fine with that value. Harrison calling out, saying we were going Bryan Edwards. Yes, sir, we indeed. I know that we do have a little bit of a lag on this stream. So yeah, nice call out, my man. Okay, so I believe Bryan Edwards was probably like our 10th wide receiver. Let me see how many wide receivers we have on this roster. I'll slide this over. That way y'all can see the team so far. So productive struggle team, most likely going to be going for the 101 next year. We have DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Chark, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, Curtis Samuel, Kadarius Toney, Paris Campbell, Dwayne Eskridge, and Bryan Edwards. So yeah, we have 10 wide receivers on this team compared to only one running back. So I know a lot of people aren't going to be a massive fan of that, but hey, you can only start one running back. I mean, you only have to start one running back in this league, and you have a ton of flex spots. So we are going to be hammering home those wide receivers repeatedly. Scott saying, surprised by Eskridge. He's too late of a breakout. Yeah, no, man. With Dwayne Eskridge, I mean, if you look historically with what's happened, especially, we covered this in depth on a rookie draft guide. I mean, his historical hit rate is literally none. You never see someone with the profile of Dwayne Eskridge hitting at the next level. But what we are doing here is having a productive struggle team where we drafted Russell Wilson. So it does make sense to go through and get a player that should be close to an every down player on the Seattle Seahawks where, hey, worst case scenario, we don't believe in Eskridge. What happens when he's an every down player and he pops off 2 out of the 3 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden we can kind of flip him for someone in a package where maybe we get a quick bump back. So I'm kind of fine with Eskridge in the late 15th. Maybe we should have gone with a Firksker. To be completely honest, we probably should have, just for the trade value that we could have had during the season. But actually, there were a couple players we should have gone with. No, man, I agree with you. Now that we look back at the board, not a good pick. Not a good pick. We should have had that one back. Okay, so Zupin Gaming coming out says, just traded the 205 and my 9th round in my startup to move up 3 spots and grab Saquon. Was that the right move? You traded the 205 and the 9th round in your startup to get Saquon Barkley. So essentially, if we look at what this equates to in this league, if we were talking about a startup, the 205 was Trey Lance. So you're essentially saying we traded Trey Lance and our 9th round pick, which just say is Michael Pittman. So we traded Trey Lance and Michael Pittman to get Saquon Barkley. Yes, man, I really like that move. Okay, so we are going to be live for another 4 minutes, guys, and then we are going to be ending this live stream. Like I said, when we do these Patreon startups, the first 2 hours are live, and then the rest of them, we change the clock to an 8-hour time period. That way we can go through and finish it as a slow draft. But I want to give a massive thank you for everybody who came out and showed some support on the stream. I mean, we hit almost 180 likes on this stream. We have close to 50 more likes on the stream right now than we actually have current viewers, which of course is absolutely massive. Y'all are the #1 reason why this channel is growing so fast. So I owe you a massive thank you. And yeah, of course, if you want to support the show even further, Patreon is always an option where we are running these Dynasty Leagues all the time. Get access to our rookie draft kit as well as our 2021 redraft guide that will be available in about 2 months. And obviously the rookie guide is already available. Our rookie rankings, access to me breaking down your teams, access to our rookie draft guide. I don't know if we already said that. Been live streaming for a very long time. And yeah, I think that should be it. Baskin says, what do you think of Amari Rodgers over Dyami Brown? Man, let me know what you think. I know that you were big on Dyami. Obviously, Amari Rodgers has a much better landing spot going to Green Bay. I would prefer the profile of Dyami Brown, and you know I was lower on him than most going into the NFL draft. I'll say Dyami Brown, the better prospect. Amari Rodgers, the better landing spot. I would probably go Rodgers. I think we would most likely go with Amari Rodgers over Dyami Brown, to be completely honest. Okay. Gerald Everett going at the 16-10. Really like that Gerald Everett pick. A lot more than Van Jefferson at the 16-11. Man, Imrod, I do have to give you some crap for that. Hey, Jake, you mind quieting down in the chat right now? Are you really going to make that call out? You really going to do that to us? Make us regret where we went in the 15th, 16th round? Now, Cole Beasley going off at the 16-12. Okay, Baskin says, I think Dyami has a better profile, but they're like 1 spot apart. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely close. Cohen going at the 17-01. So looks like Benny Bandit really is just loaded up on a bunch of satellite backs in this format with Tariq Cohen, J.D. McKissick, and Naheem Hines. Really guys that don't have access to turning into running back ones, given the fact that you're never going to expect any of these players to handle 25 touches a game. But regardless, interesting strategy, and we have yet to draft our running back 2 on this roster. David Njoku at the beginning of the 17th. Y'all know I love David Njoku. David Njoku, someone who is a similar prospect, a very similar prospect to Kyle Pitts. I will say that. Sammy Watkins, one of my favorite wide receivers ever at the 1703. Now, let's see what is going on the board down here later, but it looks like we are most likely about to pause the clock on this draft. And yeah, let me have this close out after this one pick. We will be pausing this draft and getting us going a little bit later on. Okay, so Kellen Mond, yeah, that sucks. I kind of wanted him a little bit later on. We are going to pause this draft, switch over, do this. That way we can go through and change that to an 8-hour timer. But thank you, my dudes. I really appreciate all the support on the stream. And yeah, this channel continues to grow at a rapid rate, and it's 100% because of all your support. And like I said earlier in the stream, we are going to be getting that very high stakes Dynasty League that has the $500 buy-in going once we get 400 Patreon supporters. And I'm going to be paying for not only my own spot in the league, but also a spot that we are going to be giving away as a giveaway over there on Patreon. So yeah, of course, support the show and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell. I'll see you with the live stream. I'm sorry, the video.